check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
Pockets ain't empty, cuz.
Yeah, and we ain't podcasting no more either, bruh.
Oh, wow. You didn't want to use the Oasis line?
I mean, that's a good line. I just like... what
we just did for the listener who maybe hasn't watched the movie in a while was the closing exchange,
the
of
final
film.
exchange.
Yes. It's the big send off. You might as well end on a freeze frame and then
really feels like it's about
the entertainer planes. It does. It actually does. It actually does feel like it's about to
disorienting
freeze
that
frame.
it doesn't end on a freeze frame. But I feel like that's one of the lingering sort of cultural imprints of this movie in particular in the franchise is how much the character of Roman Pierce, as played by Tyrese, is defined by his endless hunger.
He is hungry.
He's hungry. He keeps saying that he's hungry. But at the time of this episode coming out, this will be coming out just a few days before F9 is released in theaters.
F9: The Fast Saga.
I have, at the time of this recording, seen the film.
He's seen it, folks. I haven't seen it.
Not to pull rank, friend of the podcast, Richard Ehrlich invited me to a critic screening. I have seen it.
Richard Ehrlich?
Jesus Christ, David Ehrlich.
That's his name.
Who's Richard Ehrlich?
Some combo film critic man. Lawson and Ehrlich together as one.
David Lawson and Richard Ehrlich?
Yeah, I don't know.
Ehrlich it took me to a screening very kindly. I've seen the film. I'm not going to spoil any of it on this episode, but just an element that jumped out to me while watching the movie, but especially while rewatching this one for today.
It's fast.
That's one thing. And if I had to add a second, that's the second thing. But one of the beautiful things about the Fast and Furious franchise is that anything that feels like it was abandoned can at any point in time come back and be the most important thing, right?
Right.
Any character.
Yep.
You would not believe how much screen time is spent on Roman Pierce's hunger in F9. A thing that is not really tracked for the 7 movies in between. 6 movies in between. I know 2 of those he's not in.
Without spoiling.
Yes.
Is there much else in you were just watching Too Fast that has any bearing on F9? This movie is pretty far away from F9.
No,
obviously.
but this is why I'm starting the conversation this way. In terms of textual things, Roman Pierce's hunger is probably the only thread in this one that really pops up in 9.
Sure.
But I do think there are things this movie does that have really set the stage for what the series has become, not just obviously the introduction of characters, but tone, expansion of the world, certain things that feel like... I feel like this is often regarded as the worst of the franchise. And I think its reputation has grown as the franchise has evolved more to match the tone of this movie.
That and the fact that no longer does it seem ridiculous that there was a Fast and Furious movie starring Paul Walker and Tyrese. Right. Whereas at the time it felt like, this is like a knockoff. They didn't get Vin. They just got Tyrese to kind of try and carry his luggage or whatever. I don't know. It felt chintzy then, and now it doesn't because you're like, well, Roman Pierce, crucial character. I mean, when Tej Cole, these are crucial characters.
Yes.
Tej Parker, not Tej Cole.
Yeah, please, Jesus Christ. Although I think we'll talk about at length. These 2 characters bear almost zero resemblance to the characters who reintroduced themselves in 5 and have evolved so far past even who they were in 5 that at this point they could just be identical twins to those characters, right? You could just be like, this is my brother with a very different personality and skill set.
Right.
Yes, I think it is interesting in the context of this show that we do, a podcast called Blank Check with Griffin and David. I'm Griffin.
I'm David.
And it's a podcast about filmographies, directors who have massive success early on in their careers and are given a series of blank checks to make whatever crazy passion projects they want. And sometimes those checks clear, and sometimes they bounce, baby. Mm-hmm. And this is a mini-series on the films of John Singleton. It's called Pods in the Cast. And a thing that is, I feel like oftentimes forgotten, is that he did in fact direct the movie Too Fast, Too Furious. And I bring this up because despite this film being a huge hit,
big, massive hit,
because I think everyone was like, well, Vin's gone, there's going to be a step down. It'll still be successful, there's going to be a step down. It pretty much did the same numbers as the first movie, and I think even did better overseas. This was the beginning of the franchise starting to like chalk up overseas numbers. It both kind of ground Singleton's career to a halt. It really kind of dinged him that it was like, oh, he's like some for hire guy now who's doing like the shitty Fast and Furious sequel. And it like kind of ground the Fast and Furious franchise to a halt where they were like, okay, we made one without Vin. It was successful. We can't get away with that again. Make one for $20 million with no actors carried over, you know, with like teenagers in Tokyo. Like just turn this into like the Sting 2, you know?
Yeah.
It felt like it was kind of ending everything.
Introduce our guest.
Interesting to consider. Yeah.
Yeah, no, very interesting to consider, but let's bring our guest in. I think he has things to say.
The movie is called Too Fast, Too Furious.
An iconic title. Well,
we're going to spend 15 minutes talking about that alone. I was reluctant to introduce our guest because I'm surprised he has been able to sit patiently this entire time. I was waiting for him to burst through the conversation, Kool-Aid Man style, at any moment.
I'm trying to change it up a little. I'm trying to respect the connoisseurs of context and let you do your bullshit up top.
Wow. Well, our guest today, of course, is the number one fuckboy. You know him from the High and Mighty podcast, where I have gone to talk about the last 3-4 Fast and Furious movies.
I think we did a Hobbs and Shaw and a Fast 7 and an 8.
I think we did 7, 8, Hobbs and Shaw. Yes.
I think we did Hobbs and Shaw 8, and then an episode earlier on where we just talked about family and how much.
Right. Yes, we did an episode that was like for the whole franchise, right?
Yeah.
But it was sort of just us crying about the idea of this franchise. Jon Gabrus, ladies and gentlemen, finally gets to come return the favor and talk about Fast Furious on our show.
So thrilling. I didn't even know it was a Singleton series. I thought it was a Fast and Furious series. I thought it was like this is so exciting. I'm pissed that I'm here for Too Fast and Furious and not Abduction, though.
Really?
Hey, look, Abduction, you would not believe the fight for people who wanted to guest on the Abduction episode.
I'm just a Taylor Lautner head, man. Jacob the Werewolf, man. I've loved him since day one.
Right. And Abduction was like day 4, but yes.
Right.
Day 4, also the final day for fucking.
Sadly, the final day for old Tay. Yeah.
On our Patreon, we're doing the Twilight movies right now as a franchise, simultaneous with doing Singleton on main feed.
Oh,
and it's interesting that those two things coalesce with.
Taylor Lautner is the linchpin.
Right, at the end of the Twilight franchise, Taylor Lautner finally gets his action movie, which ends up being John Singleton's last movie, and then Singleton dies and Taylor Lautner kind of disappears from the face of the earth.
It's weird. It's
right?
Crazy.
Like, you would not expect these two things to overlap. And that not only did they collide, but they sort of like, it was a fatal collision.
Yes, it was a fatal collision. Jesus, I'm looking at the cast for Abduction, and I'm sorry, I know we're going to talk about that in a couple, but like Sigourney Weaver, Alfred Molina, Jason Isaacs, this thing is overflowing.
It's crazy that it's not good. Like, it's insane that it's not good.
Well, but the only problem is I don't know what it's about. At all do I don't know even the barest concept for Abduction. I just know Taylor Lautner's in it.
Oh, I've seen it. I think I saw it in the theater.
Okay, I think I know what it's about. Can you tell me whether I'm right or not?
I'm sure.
Is it about that he was? I'm not asking you. You haven't seen it, David. I'm asking Gabrus.
I was like, I probably can sort of scan the Wikipedia entry.
Gabrus, am I correct in remembering that it is about a kid who realizes through finding like a missing child listing that he was stolen and who he has thought were his parents his whole life are in fact the people who abducted him.
It's a face on the milk carton situation.
Right?
Yes.
Is it, that's
he sees
what it
his
is?
own
Yeah.
childhood photo. I feel like he's got like insane training. Like he was like, like one of those like
Right.
programmed at a young age kids.
Right.
Like
It's like a partial Hannah kind of thing, right?
Yes. It's in
But
that.
then
it's
it's
in that
also
wheelhouse.
a born identity, like who am I really? Where did I come from? Let me find out my identity kind
Yeah,
of.
it feels like Born Junior.
Yeah.
Like I'm a kid instead of being like the pilot I sold to ABC like 8 years ago was Fat Born. Like that was pretty much the premise was like, what if a fat guy ended up having crazy ass badass stuff? And they were like, oh, and I was like, and I've got just the fat guy. And they were like, Nick Frost? I was like, oh, nope. Oh, no, okay, so you don't even see me yet. Okay, see you later.
I gotta say, Abduction sounds good. So I'm excited. I kind of like that premise. That's fine.
Yeah, that's kind of a fun premise.
That's one of those movies that you watch and then 8 years later find out Jon Singleton directed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you're like,
Yes,
I saw
definitely.
that dumb shit. And it's like, oh, did you? That always happens with like some of your favorite directors. You're like, they have this one kind of movie that you saw was shitty, didn't realize it was a De Palma movie, and now you're like, and now you retroactively like, wait, one of my favorite directors made this shit movie.
Well, we've been talking about this, I mean, leading up to this point in all of our episodes so far, but I feel like every movie up until this point in Singleton's career was at least like half sold on it's a Jon Singleton movie. Like his name was as big as whoever the star of the film was. Very often he was trying to mint a new star. And even like Boys in the Hood as a debut, none of those actors are really known. It's as much the narrative of like this kid. He's like 22. Can you believe it? And this felt like the first time where Singleton was just kind of hired to make a movie.
Yeah, and that's true for the rest of them.
And this is his second franchise. He's taken on Shaft, but that was like, can you believe fucking Jon Singleton's doing Shaft? As opposed to, wait, Jon Singleton directed Too Fast, Too Furious? Like it was hidden.
I will say, I haven't watched Too Fast in a long, long time. And I remember being like, it's kind of whack. I watched Fast 1 and then Too Fast in prep for this. And
yes, same. Yeah.
It's one of those cases, and now I know we're talking about a bunch of shit at the same time here, but Abduction as well. I definitely want to rewatch because we talk about this a lot on Action Boys, but Fast 1 and Fast Too Fast we didn't know how good we had it with like blockbuster movies.
Yes.
And I remember being like, this is whack and corny. And then watching it now being like, I just love how many insane choices that everyone in this movie is making. And now it just doesn't feel like they make movies. And I'll even go, and I didn't realize it was a Singleton movie until I sat down to watch it. Or maybe we were texting about it. You're like, yeah, it's the Jon Singleton one. And I was like, oh, fuck. And then watching it, I was like, and maybe I'm just, as a child of the 80s and 90s, conflating Jon Singleton with black actors and black content. But I thought that this one felt like a little bit like a Jon Singleton movie.
I mean, I think
somehow he throws his flair on top of like a franchise that has 50% of the franchise that was built in the first movie. And it's definitely because he puts Baby Boy in as like the like that definitely helps it send it in the Singleton direction,
right?
That he cast Tyrese, but still.
But this is the wildest thing I read. So I had always thought it was that he gets hired on to do a Fast and Furious sequel,
and he brings Tyrese with him, but it's the other way around.
Right. It was Stacey Snider, who was the head of Universal at the time, really liked Baby Boy. He was like, that was like, of all the executives and studio heads in Hollywood, none of them even watched Baby Boy. And I remember that Stacey Snider was the one who like asked for a private screening. And then she called me afterwards and was like, Tyrese, this guy's amazing. And was like, I want to make him a movie star. So then she calls him, whatever it is, because Baby Boy comes out the same, like within a month of the first Fast and Furious movie, is a thing we realized during the box office game, which is just wild to consider. That it's like,
holy shit.
He's getting creamed at the box office by, I think it was the second week of Fast and Furious, is the first week that Baby Boy is out. I believe that's what it is.
Oh, cool.
And it's like he can just see his career leaving, right? Like, oh, that's the last time they're going to let you make a personal, character-driven $20 million studio drama that comes out in the middle of the summer, because he just sees like fucking Vin Diesel doing donuts around him at the box office, right? And it's like, that's your future. That's what you're doing from here on out. We'll dig into this more, but Stacey Snider called John Singleton and was like, Vin Diesel's not doing the Fast and Furious sequel. We need the new person to be the buddy with Paul Walker. Would you recommend Tyrese? Do you think he could do that? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, endorse him fully. And then they were like, would you have any interest in directing that? And then he was like, yeah, sure. But it was that order.
That's fucking wild. I had no idea.
Yeah, they called him for like the endorsement of Tyrese, and then said like, if you want to direct it, we would have you do that.
That's so fucking and I the text I sent you guys after watching this, and Tej and fucking Roman,
yeah,
you don't know it at the time, but it's like, I'm gonna do this franchise. They fucking dropped Vin Diesel. It's weird, wild, who knows? I'll do it. Fun, okay, decent. The third movie, we're not even invited to it. Fuck, right. Who knows what the fuck this is?
They're not invited. They're not invited. And it's like, yeah, well, okay, I guess they've rebooted it with the original people. No place for me anymore.
Yeah, and then in the fifth movie, like however many, 10 years after this movie comes out, 8 years after this movie comes out, they are all brought back into what will be the most lucrative film career of their lives. Like,
yes, I mean, not only that, but you look at their filmographies and like they barely do anything other than these movies now. They do one of these movies every 2 years and probably get like a quick $5 million, right?
Yeah, and like then like countless God knows what like promotional things, right? Like they launch a liquor or
every slice of the fucking McDonald's cup with your picture on it.
Yeah. Right, and also just like the amount of times they fucking get paid to open up a nightclub or whatever, you know? Yeah, right. And they both have their music careers, but it's like they both
we should comment, and they're definitely equal.
Yes, absolutely.
Both of them are equal in the recording artist category, for sure.
I forgot Tyrese. Tyrese was on The Masked Singer this year. I forgot about that. He was Robopine.
The robot porcupine. They both had like pretty fertile.
No clarification
careers.
needed, by the way. When you said Robopine, I knew you meant robotic porcupine.
That was a waste of time and energy.
Sorry, I apologize.
They both had like pretty fertile and diverse movie careers between Too Fast and Fast 5.
Yeah.
And then it's like, now we're just company men for the Fast and Furious franchise. Like, that's our paid vacation. These movies take a year to film, whatever. But the other wild thing is, I don't know if you know this, Gabrus. So the basic gestation of this movie is, you know, this is like this weird programmer movie for Universal, right? Like, why not make this little thing? The genesis of Fast and Furious as a franchise in the first place is Rob Cohen had done The Skulls with Paul Walker. Right. That was like a decent hit.
With Pacey too, right?
Yeah, kind of at the tail end of the teen thriller boom of the late 90s, right?
But Paul Walker's had that run up until that point of like She's All That and Pleasantville and Varsity Blues, where he's playing like the asshole, the rival, the pompous jerk, the dummy, whatever.
Yeah, it's like he's a very, very pretty man. He's just this sort of shockingly like Greek statue kind of guy where you're like, who is this guy?
And he has this like kind of casual winning surfer energy, you know, even if he's kind of flat as an actor. His best stuff, I would argue, the early point of his career is when he played comedic. Like, he's very good in Pleasantville.
Yeah.
Like, he's really in on that, and he's like totally tapped in comedically. When you ask him to play naturalistic at this point in his career, he is incredibly wooden. But he is undeniably just a watchable dude and just so handsome that for a studio, they're just like, yeah, we got to make this guy like, you know, a $20 million, like an under budget movie star. Like, this could be a guy who makes 3 of these a year for us and is just like a decent young heartthrob. So
it's funny that he's a young, attractive wooden heartthrob whose big break, wooden heartthrob. Give me your wooden heartthrob ASAP. The fact that he kind of popped in Point Break ripoff.
Yeah.
Which is where a wooden, handsome actor also popped off for the first time.
I mean, I wonder.
I guess what my hypothesis I'm pitching is Keanu and Mr. Walker have a sort of. I think Keanu succeeds a little more, but I think they have that similar energy of like, I don't know if this guy's doing the right thing here, but it's compelling.
But I also think there's something where it's like Keanu was so in the pocket on like the Bill and Ted movies, and then when he started to go dramatic outside of like My Own Private Idaho at the beginning, people were like, out of your depth, go back. And he like wedged his way through until he proved himself as an action star and all that shit that people thought he would never be able to sell himself as. Like Paul Walker's first leading role is Meet the Deedles, which is very much poor man's Bill and Ted.
I've never seen Meet the Deedles, but it's kind of Bill and Ted. Yeah.
Fun, and he's good in it. Yeah, like it's once again, he was good at playing comedic dumb. When they asked him to play serious, he got a little too dry.
Right. In Pleasantville, he's so perfect playing essentially a half of a person.
Right.
He's playing like a handsome, sitcom character who is like, what's happening to me? Like, he's good at that. He's really good at that. He was good in She's All That. He's
when he's playing like the totally contemptible, like punchable fucking jerk. Like, he's good in that zone. Then Skulls is a hit, and Universal is like, Paul Walker could probably be a leading man, right? Like, he did all these supporting antagonist parts. He's done a couple two-handers now. He could probably be a leading man. So they go to him and they're like, Paul, we want to build a movie around you. And I don't remember if it was they had already optioned the article or he found the article, but I think it was a New York Magazine article about underground street racing culture.
Rob Cohen had found the article. And they're like, so we've got this, and they're like, we'll do Point Break with cars. Like, it's the easiest pitch, right?
But here's the big thing, which you got to give Paul Walker credit for. Paul Walker says to them, I fundamentally don't think I can carry a movie. I think I'm better as a counterpoint to someone. Make it a two-hander.
Right. And of course, we all know who they wanted. Their number one choice, Timothy Olyphant.
No. What?
Yep.
Yes. They were like, these are the two guys who are about to pop. Make a vehicle for Oliphant and Walker.
And Oliphant had just done Gone in 60 Seconds and was like, no, man, I don't want to do another car movie. No, thank you. And Neil Moritz was like, what about Vin Diesel? His name is Diesel. Like, I don't know if he said that last part.
He should have. It definitely
He probably should have.
Holy shit. Whoever said, how about Vin Diesel, ended up accidentally setting a fucking series of events that would make millions upon billions of dollars for
billions
people.
and billions of dollars. Yes.
Well, it's like, I think that their Pitch Black probably comes out during a weekend right after Oliphant passes. Like, the timeline must have been like,
yes, it has to be that tight. Oh, I just saw Pitch Black.
Right.
And this guy is fucking weird in that.
Right. And those movies are both Universal. It's like right around the time they're in pre-production on Fast and Furious. They must have gone like, I don't know, that guy is compelling. And that just had a big, robust $8 million opening weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe this guy could carry like, a B movie.
Fuck. And not only can he could fucking revolutionize a B movie.
Now, this is the other thing I want to say is that last year, I took part of this Scripts Gone Wild, which is a bunch of guys who do like readings of famous screenplays. I think they used to do them live, and now in the last year did them mostly over Zoom for charity and stuff. So I did their Fast and Furious reading and played Brian, and they had some very late version of the script. Like, it seemed like a shooting script, but it was so different from what ends up in the actual first movie in a way that makes me feel like Vin kind of rolled up his sleeves and started like rewriting scenes on the fly every day on the set of that movie.
That's what he claims, right? Like, I mean, he's like, I was the one who gave Dom like his street cred.
Yeah, because I'll say, like, that draft had, like, 8 names on it, including David Ayer. It is loaded with racial slurs, which, like, feels like a real Ayer pass. Well, the language has to be authentic. It's like, it doesn't need to be this authentic. It was, like, it's amazing how many racial slurs directed at every single protected group there are in that film. But also just, like, there's a lack of certain specificity they're sort of like they hadn't latched on to what the fundamental humanity and the ethos of the respective characters are. Letty is like garbage in that draft. The whole thing is that she sleeps with Brian and she becomes like the person they fight over. And Rodriguez was like, I'm not going to do it if I'm like the woman between them to like make the sister jealous and also piss off the guy. And I think Vin supported her. So like that thing was like totally rewritten on set, it seems.
I don't think anyone would want to fuck Dom's girl.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make her Dom's sister. Nobody fucks Dom's sister. Well, yeah, but that's the energy we need you to have in the movie.
Right.
But nobody fucks my sister. Yeah, okay, Vin, but this is an actor cast to play your sister. You're aware we're not asking your sister. We're not asking Tina Diesel to show up to set.
Tina Diesel.
So Vin kind of like fundamentally transforms the movie, right? And then people are like, oh, this movie's like tracking big. It might open to like $15 million. It opens to $40 million. It's one of the biggest hits of the year. It becomes like culture defining. And immediately, like Vin Diesel is the guy who has the burst that people thought Paul Walker was going to have, where it's just like, get this guy in anything.
He's the huge breakout of that movie.
Right.
And honestly, Michelle Rodriguez is the second breakout.
Yes.
And Walker, everyone is like, yeah, Walker, sure, fine. He did his job in that movie. Like there was no popping for him. The next movie he does is this movie. He doesn't, doesn't get anything off of this.
Is that like one of Michelle Rodriguez's first big roles?
It's Girl Fight 2 Fast and Furious.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's the leap. It's like, oh, she was in a good Sundance movie. Let's get her for this thing.
Like,
yeah.
The other movie he does off of this is that Richard Donner timeline movie. Yeah, which was like one of those things that they barely acknowledged they made. And then after that, he had Into the Blue with Jessica Alba, the diver movie.
Running Scared.
Yeah, Running Scared is good.
Running Scared's good, and that's his first like good dramatic performance, I would argue. He's good.
Yeah, he's like solid in that. Yeah, that's a good solid thriller.
God, I haven't seen that in forever. I gotta get into that.
Obviously, there's 8 Below, which I have not seen. Griffin, it feels like you've seen that. Have you seen 8 Below?
I think I have, but I always. I maybe have it. It's one
you
of those
confuse it with Snow Dogs, obviously.
I confuse it with Snow Dogs, but I also feel like sometimes I'm like, I've seen that movie, and then I start watching it, and I'm like, I've never seen this. I just built up a detailed enough version in my head of what I imagined it is, you know?
Oh, I have the opposite frequently where I'm like, I've never seen this movie, and I'm watching like a weird 80s or 70s movie, and then there's like female nudity, and I'm like, nope, I've seen this movie. I remember only this part from when I was like 11 for some reason. Like your brain is just my brain is so heterosexual and broken that it's like, I've never seen The Howling. No, I remember the campfire sex scene. Okay, I've seen this movie. I've
seen parts of this movie many times.
Yeah. I feel like this was on a compilation I owned. We had in the neighborhood to share.
I'm looking at Walker now. I'm just looking at him. Flags of Our Fathers.
Right.
Is he good in that? He doesn't have much to do in that.
No one's good in that movie. No one is good in that movie.
That movie is just kind of boring. I gotta rewatch it though. The Lazarus Project. I mean, he's dead at a certain point. I mean, no, R.I.P. Paul Walker.
He's definitely dead at a certain point.
Well,
Dr. Sims.
Yeah.
Dr. Sims reporting for duty.
I'd say from 2014 on.
Oh boy, poor guy.
But the real death is when your acting career dies.
Yes, absolutely. The first death. He was in that weird zone where it's like, oh, here's a guy who's been in some big hit movies. He's like very handsome. He gets to play the lead in movies. Some of them are hits, some of them are flops, but neither one feels like any reflection on him. You know, where it's like,
Sure.
8 Below was a hit and Timeline was a flop, and neither one necessarily hurt or helped his career. It was just like, if you need some generic guy to put at the center of your thing, he can do that.
He was in Takers, which is like a movie that like nominally did well, but like no one knows that no one really remembers that. Like everything before Fast 5 or Fast and Furious, I guess, everything before that and after Too Fast, Too Furious, he's like clearly just the fifth guy that was called, and he shows up and he does his work, and no one's packing the streets to cheer about it, but like whatever. Like,
yes.
I don't know. That's the best you could say about Paul Walker in the 2000s.
The main quartet was so out until ampersand. Like, that's the fascinating thing about this franchise, is that like all of them were like, I mean, there's that Young Hollywood Vanity Fair cover where both Jordana Brewster and Paul Walker are on it the year before this. And everyone was like, okay, Michelle Rodriguez, Vin Diesel, they're the next two action stars, and both of them sort of like wipe out. It really was like, at the moment that ampersand happens, a real salvation for all four of them. Bring, bring.
Hello? Click. Hello. I'm sorry to be unenthused. I'm very happy to talk to you, Cineast Cow, but you know, you're a regular caller. It's nice to hear from you.
Yeah, I don't think you need to apologize, David. I mean, when your mom calls you, you don't go jumping Jehoshaphat. You go, hey, Mom, what's up?
Exactly. I'm not rolling out a red carpet here. I'm not like, oh my God, it's the Cineast Cow. But you know what? It's nice to hear from the Cineast Cow because that means we get to talk about movie.
But wait a second, David. Do you notice something?
No. What's going on?
Well, usually Cineast Cow Zoom bombs us, but she's just, sitting in front of a laptop.
Yes.
You don't notice that she's wearing big over-ear headphones and she's got a mic in front of her today?
She's got big Beats by Dre's. Because, do you think it must be because she wants to plug Mubi's brand new show, the Mubi Podcast?
I think she does. And in fact, she's taken her hoof and she's like slicing it across her throat and then pointing at us as if to tell us that we're dead.
We're dead meat. Well, I think we could be friends. I think there's space for multiple podcasts about movies.
Well, we're two friends, and that's our competitive advantage. Right. But I think what she's coming in with is maybe that this is the only podcast produced by one cow.
Right. Well, it's called the Movie Podcast. Mm-hmm. It just launched with a deep dive into Paul Verhoeven's wild second feature, Turkish Delight, which we will one day cover on this podcast, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. And its unique significance during the counterculture movement in the 70s in Holland. The show's hosted by Rico Gagliano. The episode has some interviews with Verhoeven, with Monique van der Ven, with Jan de Bont. I always forget.
Jan de
Bont, his cinematographer, director of Speed, of course. So this
and Cineast Cow is kind of shaking her head because I think she doesn't love Jan de Bont after the tornado scene in Twister, with the cow. I think maybe that hit a little too close to home. That seemed kind of senseless. Right.
So there was a schism there. But you know what?
Right.
Put it aside to get some cool interviews. The whole first season of this podcast is going to spotlight movies that were big cultural phenomena in their home countries, but nowhere else, right? So they're going to cover movies from Indian cinema, Mexican melodrama that became the biggest movie in the Soviet Union, a micro budget that shot on video that sparked the modern Nigerian film industry. They've got interviews. They talk to critics and academics and historians. It's a cool way to discover unlikely film stories, explore all sides of cinema culture. You can subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts. Movie Podcast.
That's one of the things we love about Mubi as a streaming service, obviously, is they're bringing you films from all around the world. Most streaming services we have here, the United States of America, tend to be very U.S.-centric.
True.
Okay? And very modern. And Mubi, I'm looking here just at the front page. Here, we got Yella by Kristen Petzold from Germany, okay? Then we have Where To?
Mm-hmm.
Where To, a film from Lebanon in 1957. We have Hong Sang-soo films from South Korea, Bertolucci movies from Italy, Yorgos Lanthimos movies from Germany. They got films from all over. Pride, Unprejudice, LGBTQ plus cinema, marathon, with all sorts of good things. There's always good stuff on Mubi.
There is. Of course, you can always go to Mubi.com. You can try it for free for 30 days at Mubi.com/check, MUBI.com/check. They'll get you a whole month. But, also just, check out their podcast. It sounds cool. I'm going to check
out
the
podcast.
Yeah.
Archipelago. I've never seen Archipelago.
Great
David.
movie. Great.
Joanna Hogg.
Great.
Director we love. Yes. That's the film where Tom Hiddleston becomes a movie star, right? That's his breakthrough.
Yeah, he's in all her movies. Except for the Souvenir. He's very, very good. Archipelago is great, Griffin. I think you'd like it.
I can't wait to watch it after I listen to the Mubi podcast. So this is my lineup. Finish the rest of this episode, then listen to the Mubi podcast, then watch Archipelago. I got a busy night ahead of me.
Yeah, well, you're going to have fun. And by fun, I mean you're going to watch a really awkward British movie. That's really good.
Well, that's fun for me.
Exactly.
They fast track a sequel immediately, right after that first weekend. And
Yes.
Vin already is in his I'm the mastermind of my whole career. I have the plan. I know what I'm doing kind of thing. So they're like sequel, and he's like, I don't know. Rob Cohen has already been in development on XXX, which they didn't have an actor for at that point in time, over at Sony, a rival studio. So then I think he tries to lure Vin Diesel over to that. So they know Vin Diesel's flirting with that. They come up with 2 treatments for the Fast and Furious sequel, one of which has Dom in it and is the continuation of the Dom and Brian movie. And they also simultaneously develop another one, knowing there's a good chance that Vin's going to pass.
And the other one they develop is just, it could be almost any crime movie, like, undercover cop movie, just with cars in it.
Right. It's a premise that if Paul Walker didn't return, you could still do. It's like,
exactly.
do Miami Vice with some cars in it, right?
Yeah,
like, that's really
right.
what this premise is. And that is, to be fair, I think the version with him in it still had a lot of elements of this. It was still like, Paul Walker's still a cop. He has to go undercover again. Dom would be in the Roman Pierce role, but it was like trying to bust a crime lord, a sleazebag like this. And Vin's objection, they offered him $25 million to do
That
this.
is a lot of money.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I think he got 20 for XXX.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like they had to one up.
What do we all think of XXX? The first
Sucked.
Triple
Not a
X.
fan. Not a fan.
It's a bad movie.
I rewatched it a year ago. It's a movie that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's gross. It's kind of a skeevy movie. Obviously,
It's a
Rob Cohen
skeevy
turned
movie.
out to essentially be a sex criminal.
I mean,
Um,
it's like a fucking Surge commercial.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's like the energy I love extreme sports, but like the extreme energy shit is like I'm not here for that. And so XXX doesn't land on me that well.
It's like a very inauthentic representation of extreme sports culture combined with what feels like a too authentic representation of Eastern European sex rings. Like that's
Yes.
yeah, that's what bums me out about it.
And I think Vin is pretty bad in it. He's just kind of on autopilot in it. He's just, Xander Cage does not really have much of a defined personality, I guess.
No,
right?
and I fucking love Return of Xander Cage, where I feel like he finally figures out who that character
that
is.
movie is silly.
It's so good. And even like State of the Union is fun in that way. But that becomes like the Fatal Folly, where it's like, okay, so he does Fast and Furious. It's a huge hit. They go franchise. He goes, no, thank you. I'm making a new thing. He does XXX. It's a huge hit. They go franchise. He goes, no, thank you. I'm going back to Riddick. And he takes all the goodwill from both of those, puts it on Riddick, craps out.
But that just shows you Vin Diesel is the master of his own. He's like, nah, this nerdy shit is more important to me.
Now, there's an interview that Vin did a couple years ago where they asked him about if he regrets the turning down Too Fast, Too Furious decision. And he said, like, I was definitely too cocky at that point in time. Like, I was like feeling too big for my britches, but I probably should have taken the money and done it. Like, I probably should have done it for the fans. It probably would have been the smart thing for my career. But he was like, fundamentally, the script was stupid and it didn't feel like a continuation of the Fast and Furious story. It felt like, here's just another movie with cops and cars, which he's right about.
He is right.
Like, that is a fair assessment. And he was ahead of the curve where he was like, this is a saga. It's about the relationship with these two men. And they were probably giving him like jerk off hand signals and going like, take the paycheck.
Dude, $25 million, just shut the fuck up. And he's like, family is the core. And people are like, what are you talking about? He's like, I will join the PGA and come back and fix this. It's like, okay, Vin. Oh my God, he's really doing it.
The insane thing of him being proven so right about this. But so this movie is them just being like, fuck off this guy. We don't need him. Don't overthink it. Paul Walker, fine. And then like Tyrese, that's a new movie star. With Tyrese, we can rope John Singleton into doing this. He's a higher class filmmaker than Rob Cohen. And it's given like a prime summer release and is a hit, and people kind of hate it, and it almost ends the franchise.
I mean, the question is, if, say, this movie is just a direct sequel and it stars Vin Diesel, do we have Fast 9 now? Like,
no.
would it be more of a thing like, where they're like, it did well, and then they do 3 and it does less well, and it kind of peters out in a more normal way, versus the weird comeback narrative the franchise kind of got to construct. Right.
Correct. I think there's something about the fact that the franchise...
The meta-narrative around the franchise kind of builds it up.
It was so down and out. All of the actors were down and out. Like, everyone had something to prove. I think they could have made this same movie where it is... he gets called in to break up this ring, and he goes, the only person I'm working with is Dominic Toretto. Right. And it's Vin with the Dom character in this same dynamic. And people would have gone to see it. It would have been an even bigger hit than this was, but it would have been diminishing returns. Creatively, it would have taken the bloom off the rose, versus when they come back with 4 and people are like, fuck, they're in the same movie again? I've been waiting 10 years for that, The
nostalgia. That there was nostalgia for it that no one, I think, really... Well, some people, Vin Diesel among them, probably did anticipate, but a lot of people didn't, really.
And there was a Twitter thread recently from a guy who worked, I believe, as a development executive at Universal, who was talking about the weird circuitous path to Ampersand getting made, because after Tokyo Drift, they were like, let's just do these direct-to-video. Like, they were ready to turn Fast and Furious into Jarhead and be like, every year we'll do Fast and Furious 7, and it will just be in a new foreign city where there's a tax incentive, and we will get, like, TV stars who will do anything to play the lead in a direct-to-DVD movie.
Right. Jarhead is one of those movies where you're like, Jarhead... Frank Grillo and Bruce Willis are making movies every 2 months, and they are all on streaming. Like, Frank Grillo is in so many movies.
Frank Grillo's in so many movies. So many.
And it's so weird considering that Jarhead is this very moody movie about how going to war is actually super boring and nothing happens and you go insane. And then they made a bunch of sequels that's like, it's tough in the suck, get those guys, boom, 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 boom. And they just like, they're just war movies, I assume, right?
Yeah, they just became action movies.
Scott Adkins and...
There's Scott Adkins movies. I think one of them's called like Jarhead Circle of Fire or something like that.
Field of Fire.
Field of Fire. Yeah. Who's the other one who's in a lot of them? Oh, Gabriel Macht, I think, is in a couple of them.
Oh, that guy. Absolutely. The Gabriel Macht is like a replacement level action star. He just kind of looks like a movie star enough if you squint.
But this is what I'm talking about. Like, Universal, that's the same studio, right? It could have so easily gone that way, and they would have just been like, well, the relationship that Jarhead 5 has to the first Jarhead is the relationship that Fast and Furious 5 will have to the first Fast and Furious. Just put any two people in a city with cars. It doesn't have to be about fucking anything established in the first movie. Vin stood his ground, was like, if you're not like continuing the Toretto family saga, I'm out. And yes, I agree with you. If the franchise would have stopped dead, I think, after this one, they probably, if this was a hit, they would have priced themselves out. They would have made a third probably without both of them returning.
Or they would have made a third after a bunch of negotiations, and it would have, I don't know. I just think people, and it would have been okay, and like, right. And the other thing is that the Tokyo Drift lets Justin Lin sneak into the franchise and be one of its most important. Anyway, that's Fast and Furious talk. That, and it's crucial. But Too Fast, Too Furious kind of has nothing to do with any of this.
Yeah, very true.
That's what's sort of funny about it. Like, they borrow stuff out of it for the later, but like, it's not like they're making it being like, we really need Tej in this because he's going to be crucial as the computer guy for 5 more of these movies later. Like, no one's thinking that.
This is one of those sequels that's like ostensibly more like Teen Wolf 2. Like this old model of making sequels where the first movie's a hit and you're like, and in the sequel, it happens to a different guy.
Yeah, right. Same thing, different town.
Right,
yeah. Where else do they drive cars? I heard Miami? Okay, let's go.
All right, let's go. Yeah.
Right. And like the genius stroke of Tokyo Drift is that they bring the whole kind of like Karate Kid teen sports movie into the mix, but that was basically how that was conceived. This becomes this sort of incorrect takeaway from what worked in the first movie, although they clearly wanted to have Vin, obviously. But like, I guess this is a franchise about the continuing adventures of an undercover cop who is friends with criminals and infiltrates car rings.
Yeah, he's a former street racer turned cop, and now in this movie, former cop turned informant or something.
Correct.
Like I don't.
Right, that's the weird thing, that he's on
not
the
a
run.
cop in this one either, which is so fun. He's like so removed from.
Yeah,
they have to reference the last movie so frequently and too
Yes.
fast. It's almost like you guys are leaning. I understand it's a sequel, but if you're like, is that why you gave the guy at the end of the last movie an escape? It's like, okay,
Yes.
stop referring to the last movie like it just. Other stuff has happened in all these characters' relationships, but they're talking about like the last movie ended, and it was like, Paul, we got another mission for you, Brian, whatever the fuck your name, whatever.
But he's not a narc. That's what they're trying to make sure that everybody knows. He's not a narc anymore.
Yeah, he's no longer, because that has to be like, he can't be a rat anymore. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So in this movie, he sort of gets his rep washed by Roman. He's no longer a fucking ACAB. He's no longer a pig.
but it's also this weird thing where it's like they're sort of trying to make him like a.
Yeah.
David, was that you?
Yes, my phone made a noise. Ignore it. No idea.
I
why.
know the noise your phone made. It was Devin Aoki. Your phone
That's
just
right.
said Devin Aoki's
I
name.
googled Devin Aoki because I wanted to check something, and it said her name.
Wow.
Yep.
The thing I was gonna say is that they're sort of trying to make like Brian O'Connor the like John McClane, where it's like, well, he's like sort of a cop, but maybe he's off duty. He doesn't want to be doing this.
But they're also making him way cooler. That he actually like knew a bunch of cool guys. But I don't know.
They retcon. This is like a trope of the franchise. It's just retconning people's past to make it even. Like Dominic Toretto is the perfect example where it's like he also has a brother. Yeah, and no, none of them look alike.
Right.
No, they're all three different ethnicities. They're all from different.
There is an incredible line in F9 where they go like that mixed up Toretto gene pool. Like someone does acknowledge, like, so you're Brazilian, you're Italian.
Just don't even bother. They shouldn't have even thrown something in. But whatever, I guess.
You know, it's one offhand line. Someone says it dismissively, like that mixed up Toretto gene pool, whatever's in there.
In Fast 1, you get a little bit of Brian's history that he was like a streetcar guy before getting this, like, which makes sense because it's not a skill set a lot of cops have. And then in this one, they get even more retconning to his past where it's like, he's got more crimes listed. He's more of a badass than we ever mentioned. We don't even give him any credit for his cop time. But then it's like he also used to roll with this guy who's very much like Dominic Toretto. Doesn't ever bring him up in Fast 1 of like, I had a friend who was a non-white dude who I ended up becoming
bald.
pretty tight with.
We have like this exact same dynamic, like this kind of back and forth. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I do think the pitch that they presented to Vin Diesel had to have been very similar to what this movie ended up being, just with the rewrites to bring in a new character and try to tailor make something a little bit to Tyrese.
That's basically the pitch of later movies where it's like, well, how could they possibly get away with, they're on the run, but it's like, yeah, but there's this one job that only they can do, and the government just has to bring them in. That's just the pitch every time.
Mission Impossible plays that game too, where every movie it's we're officially out of the IMF. It's like, again? I don't join again. You guys should be freelancers.
Yeah, just go do something else. Work at a coffee shop, whatever.
It's funny to me that it's like the thrilling thing that the first Fast and Furious leaves you with is Brian letting Dom get away, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
And the note of ambiguity, that the ending is not neat, that he gives Dom the car, that Dom drives off, and Brian's just kind of standing there in the middle of the road as the cops begin to like surround him, and you don't know like what decision this guy's made, how he's gonna explain it. Has he like turned his back on the law? Like, the one thing you know is that the Brotherhood transcends everything else.
Of course it does. I love the end of Point Break, but the end of Point Break, obviously, Patrick Swayze, crime pays, and he dies, and you know that's the end. It's a conclusive end. And brilliantly, obviously, they're like, well, we can't kill Dom. Everyone loves Dom. You know, Dom can't go to jail. Dom's got to hit the road.
He's got to drive to Cuba. Yeah.
If Fast One wanted to follow Point Break even more, it'd be really funny. Brian's like, here, Dom. Gives him the keys. Dom drives away and immediately crashes in the car, blows up,
just spins out.
Immediately incinerates himself.
I think we're gonna say drives into the ocean.
Oh yeah, drives into the 50-year star.
Laughing.
Lose something, brah.
But like that ending is the juice to then have it be like, okay, Brian has now gone full-time underground street racing, but this opening of the movie is kind of a canard. They're giving you the one classic Fast and Furious street racing set piece at the beginning, and then immediately the cops find him, and they're like, okay, stop being in a Fast and Furious movie. Come back and be a cop.
Hey, buddy. No,
Hey.
And it does also feel like they're like, yeah, you're not Vin Diesel, okay? Yeah. Like, I get that you just won a street race against fucking Devin Aoki and what's his pants from Prison Break, Amarino Nolasco.
Michael Ealy.
Michael Ealy, right.
Right, but they're like, but the audience doesn't like watching you win, okay?
Yeah, you're not
There's
going
only
to do
so
that
far
for
this
a
can
whole
go.
movie. Please.
But yes, that moment when, you know, they want to team him up with the fucking dumbhead with the pizza parlor soda cup.
Yeah, with the friggin' cargo pants.
Yeah. And he's like, you can't like put me there with a stiff shirt. I need someone who knows their shit. That feels like the movie saying, oh my God, he's got to bring Dominic Toretto back. And instead he's like, here's some guy you've never heard of before.
like the movie, the script is exactly, I got just the guy. And in the one version of the script, it's like, cut to Toretto's garage. And this version is like, cut to Demolition Derby and a hungry person is driving.
It would be funny if it cut to like, he calls Dom, and Dom's like, no, I know, I'm okay. I'm on the run right now. I don't want to go to Miami. And he's like, okay. I'll call Roman. He's good. He's still like 80% of you. It's fine. It's fine.
Brian's like, look, the FBI's willing to pay you $25 million for one mission.
I'm in Bulgaria. I'm solving extreme sports crimes.
Also, the idea that Dom did get a call to do this Miami mission, he's like, I really can't be fucking with that. I'm super. I'm in a lot of other shit right now, and he's just Dominic Toretto living in like other Vin Diesel movies. I'm like, I just can't be there. Right, I'll be. And then he hears Roman goes in. It's like, well, we just cleared Roman's history from him doing the mission, and Vin's like, motherfucker, I should have done the fucking Miami mission. They would have.
Now I'm stuck babysitting some government officials' kids.
He did become the pacifier. What? Just 2 years later?
Yes.
Oh my God.
You're a 3 years later. You're a Vin Diesel expert, Griff.
Yes.
Does he ever talk about that in his sort of grand narrative of stardom, or is he more just like, that's like a movie I did?
I feel like he never really talks about. I mean, I feel like sometimes on his social media he'll post like Throwback Thursday pacifier nostalgia shit.
He'll be like, "Happy birthday, Lauren Graham! It was great working with you."
Yeah, remember the duck.
Creative Sundays, the pacifier.
God, Creative Sundays and Toretto Tuesdays, two of my favorite weekly occurrences.
The only holidays as I and atheist celebrate are Toretto Tuesdays and Creative Sundays.
I observe every Toretto Tuesday, but
I'm orthodox with my Toretto Tuesdays. I never miss one.
Wait, on Toretto Tuesdays, I need someone else in my building to push the elevator button for me, because I feel like you shouldn't be operating machinery of any kind on a Toretto Tuesday.
Every Toretto Tuesday, I accidentally kill somebody with a wrench.
I do feel like Pacifier is the one movie I never really hear him talk about in terms of his like grand career strategy.
Right.
I guarantee he'll retcon it as like you got to make a movie for the families, for kids.
Yes, that's
kids
totally what it is.
Yeah,
that was so the playbook at that point in time. He thinks he's Arnold. You have to do your kindergarten cop. He wants to make a Disney movie. Like, it makes sense in that way, and was also, we should acknowledge, a big hit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, a big fucking hit.
It's a formula that works.
Yes.
This is the thing, though. Much like Too Fast, much like Triple X, these are movies that made money but earned no credibility with the public. Like the public was just like, you got me with that one, but I'm not gonna.
Bad aftertaste. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Fool me once. Vin has made the short film, I think it's called Los Bandoleros, that is on the Ampersand home video releases that he directed.
Yep.
That is the what was Toretto doing in Cuba
Fills in
during Too Fast, Too Furious.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is just like
he's like buying white pants that fit his quads.
Pretty much. It's just
white
about
capri pants.
him becoming a local legend, essentially.
The dream for a guy like Vin Diesel is like, let me make a movie about how badass I became for the 2 movies I wasn't around for. It's like, okay, man, cool.
And it's like not an action movie anymore. It's just a moody, short character piece. Dominican Republic. I'm sorry. He goes to Cuba in Fate. Yes.
Oh, Fate is the one where he opens with him in the white pants. Yeah.
Yes. This is Dominican Republic, but I do believe he has white pants in this as well. But yeah, so at this point in time, it's the Paul Walker franchise. It's can we make Tyrese a leading man? And it's an easy job for Singleton, who's now had, a failed franchise starter and a return to personal movies that didn't make much of an impact at the box office. We should mention right off the bat, this film does the thing we love the most, David.
Changes the Universal logo.
Yeah, and
oh god, and it's so good. I'm sorry.
It's so aggressive. It's the most changed opening I've ever seen. It is the most longer than we can articulate.
Yes,
it's like 6 beats longer than you think it's going to be.
Because it starts out with the Universal Globe. It's the normal logo. And then once you get the camera has zoomed out enough in the universe that the globe is fully captured on screen, it then becomes chrome, is surrounded by rivets. You hear a lot of auto mechanic sounds, whirring and drills and shit.
I'm watching it now just for fun.
It becomes a hubcap.
It does.
Yeah. It's rims.
Yeah.
And it rules.
It rules. It's so good.
The sort of herky-jerky, machine way that it moves is the best. It's so good.
I think it's important to have this early in the movie to prepare your fucking inner ears for how this movie does stop and start and pans and shit like that. You have to be sort of like, if you saw this shit in 4DX, I could see like my mom barfing or something.
I want them to do a 4DX re-release of this movie, a remaster. I do feel
it's remastered for 4DX.
Yes,
you're a guy who's in charge of remastering. It's like, we go to Griffin, he's the best. I think we should add a water squirt here.
More rat smell.
I think, Griff, we've talked about this. I don't think The Fast and the Furious is very well directed. I don't think Rob Cohen is a particularly good director.
I'm going to follow this up in a second. Go on. Yeah.
This movie it just feels like John Singleton is like, this movie should feel kind of swagged out. Like it should be big and loud and colorful and silly, and it should be having fun, and it should be loud. And did I mention that the volume should be high and the sound effects should be, in your ears? And it doesn't feel like he's phoning it in, I guess is,
No.
for whatever you want to say about this movie, some people, I guess it's still kind of the redheaded stepchild of the Fast and the Furious franchise. It shouldn't be, but I guess it kind of is.
I feel like Tokyo Drift deserves the black sheep of the family.
No, but I love Tokyo Drift. Tokyo Drift's so
I like
crucial.
Tokyo Drift too, but I think it's the least cast. Whatever. We don't have to get into that.
It's a debate. It's a debate. But I just feel like he did not. Whatever. He rolled up his sleeves and made an effort and had fun and delivered a very entertaining movie that is not a yawn. I guess that's my praise for it, right? Like it's not.
Yeah.
Despite everything we're saying, it's not just kind of like, all right, and then they blah blah blah. It's trying to make every scene very entertaining.
It's truly better than I remember. Like I remember leaving the theater going, oh man. But I remember leaving the theater for Fast 1 going, that shit was sick.
Yeah.
I remember leaving the theater for Fast 2 going, oh, sequels have casually let me down over and over again. But then rewatching this, I'm like, we should talk. You talked about the opening of the Universal. The next 3 things are like cars pulling up and it's like, yo, drag race, and then Paul Walker going, fuck, all right, I'll race there, and
I'll
it's
be there
like
in 4 minutes.
a badass driving sequence to get him to the race, which is another badass driving sequence.
Yes.
And so the movie has like 9 minutes of unbroken action out of the gate, and I'm like, okay, yeah, no, this movie's doing exactly what I wanted to do right now. I put it on last night at 10:30 and did not feel a lick of tired or wanting to look at my phone. I was blasting through this movie. I loved it.
I think it opens so strong. I like this movie. It has grown on me over time, although I think it has some fundamental issues. Namely that the script just sucks. It's got a really boring script.
Singleton, to go back to what David said, John Singleton's the only person not phoning in this movie.
Right. He is directing.
Everyone else is trying hard but not landing.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's directing the shit out of it.
Absolutely. That's the biggest thing. And I feel like that's why the Universal logo is such a mission statement for this movie.
Exactly.
Right? Because
Right.
like he said that he saw Fast and Furious when it came out in theaters the same weekend that Baby Boy is bombing, right? And was like, fuck, I should have done this. Like, he had this moment where he's like, I knew about this fucking, like, street racing culture in Southern California. I could have made this movie. I should have thought to pitch this. This is a good idea for a commercial studio film. So then when they offered to him, he's like, yeah, I know that world. But then they give him this script that sort of becomes like Miami Vice. It really does feel like, oh, it's just two guys trying to stay cool, go undercover in a city to bust up some coke lord, right?
Look, we're going to talk about Cole Hauser. We're
We'll
going to
get
get to him in a minute. We're going to get there.
Wait.
But go ahead.
Before we go any further into the movie, the most confusing thing about this movie is that it starts with Han's funeral, a character we have not met yet. And to keep the timeline even wonkier, they're at Han's funeral at the beginning of this movie.
And Han
That's
is
all I
there.
can think about.
That's the
It's
weird
just-
thing. He's there at his own funeral.
He's there. Yeah.
No, sorry, Griff. What were
Don't
you
say
gonna
anything, Griffin. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, he's talked about. I found this interview that he gave where he talked about like his influences on this movie. Yeah, here it is. This is from blackfilm.com in 2003 when this movie's about to come out, and when this movie was released and the reception was negative, not just from the public, but I think critics were kind of like, why did John Singleton make this?
I think critics were generally mad, and it didn't help that it was called Too Fast, Too Furious. I feel like there was a weird target on this movie's back because it had this ludicrous name.
Which it also was like called The Fast and the Furious 2 for a while. Like they re-released the first movie on DVD when this was about to come out on some special edition with a sneak peek. And I distinctly remember it still being called The Fast and the Furious 2 on that sneak peek a couple months earlier. When they announced like it's called Too Fast, Too Furious, I just feel like everyone in the world laughed. Like
it became the new Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo or whatever. It just became the new jokey sequel title where it's like they've gone too far. They're trying to like make sequels sound cool and it sounds lame or whatever.
Which also then becomes another hallmark of the Fast and Furious franchises.
True.
Every title has to have some new titling structure, some new convention. It's playing by its own rules.
Well, that's the thing. The meta narrative is important in these movies because in connecting all them because nothing else does.
Right.
Like Vin is in and out, Paul Walker in and out. You know, like people are in and very out. You know, and shit like that. You're just like, oh, and so there's nothing like, all right, this one, let's name it. You know, Furious meets Fast. It's like perfect. Like printed. Like we got a poster. Let's go.
Well, but that's the thing. So like, I think people were like, Singleton, you fucked this up. Like you fucked up this franchise that, like, the first Fast and Furious movie, as you said, David, I fully agree. Rob Cohen is, in addition to, by all accounts, being a pretty monstrous human being, a shitty director, right? Like, he's
not a good director.
He's a hack. He's a hack. And the first Fast and Furious movie, you rewatch it, and it is astonishing the gulf between how poorly directed all the dialogue sequences are, which are really just carried by the, like, undeniable movie star energy of the actors. Yeah. And how exciting the race sequences are that were clearly directed by a second unit that Rob Cohen had no hand over because they do not feel like they're part of the same movie. They have like a completely different visual language. The racing sequences are well constructed and visually inventive, and like the dialogue sequences are like ineptly covered and like riddled with mistakes. Singleton, right off the bat, he's making a movie where all of it is directed by one person, where the dialogue scenes are as kinetic as the race sequences, and the race sequences are now even more kinetic than the racing was in the first movie. So
that shit heightens well from
Right.
from 1 to 2. They do a great job of making the I think the 1 has better set pieces, like more exciting set pieces, but 2 ramps up what the driving looks like in a fucking cool way. Yeah.
I mean, it's the bummer of this movie is that the first 10 minutes you're like, I just want to watch this. Just show me this fucking escalation, which Singleton's whole defense when people would criticize him for it was like, I wasn't trying to do the same racing sequences as the first movie. I was looking at anime. Like, I was looking at Speed Racer. This interview with Black
Yeah,
Film.
it's like F-Zero. The beginning of this movie reminds me of the Super Nintendo game F-Zero so
They should
much.
make an F-Zero movie.
Okay, so Gabrus, this Black Film interview, they say some of the action car scenes were similar to those scenes we see in video games where any game's an influence in shooting those scenes. He said, yeah, funny you were able to pick that up. When I was formulating the way I wanted to shoot the film, I watched a lot of anime. I watched The Road Warrior over and over again, which I feel is the best car movie ever made. I play a couple of video games where it allowed me to free my mind and think about shooting something different from the traditional way. I also played with Hot Wheels on my desk and thought about how a camera can shoot this from different angles. So he's just going like full cartoon gonzo, like, let's get as creative and have as much fun with this as possible. Which, watching it today, you're like, this stuff rips. And at the time, I think people are like, where is the verisimilitude of the first movie? Which the verisimilitude of the first movie, you kind of have to put in quotes. You know, but like, I think that movie was grittier and more street level. And when this movie has like a literal neon light consultant who is there on set every day.
Oh, yeah.
To navigate how to shoot that much neon.
That guy's only worked on Too Fast, Too Furious, and Batman Forever. It's like his only 2 jobs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was in all the Schumacher movies. He was Joel Schumacher's guy.
But that's what it feels like. It does kind of feel like he's doing a Schumacher to the first Fast and Furious' Burton Batmans, you know?
Yes. I mean, I think the Burton Batmans are better made and have more intention than the first Fast and Furious, but that is a good analogy, and yes, that's perfect.
We should mention while we're on the opening of the film also, because Gabrus, you talked about what a payday this has been for Ludacris and Tyrese across the rest of their career.
Oh yeah.
Tyrese was obviously a studio choice. Stacey Snider wanted him. Ludacris was cast because Singleton was a big fan of him and his music videos and thought he had an undeniable energy. And so they gave him the prime role of Michael Ealy's character. He was only supposed to be the driver in this one sequence.
Slapjack or whatever they call him.
Yep.
They named him in the movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was supposed to play fucking Slapjack, and Ja Rule was supposed to play the role that then became Tej. That was supposed to be the extension of Ja Rule's
Because that's
character.
kind of what he is in the first one.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Like, here's the ringleader. Here's the P.T. Barnum of this shit, right?
It's the Vin Diesel story, but with an idiot at the center
Right.
of it. Like, you know, it's like he's at the peak of his fame, Ja Rule, and they're like, come be in Too Fast and Furious. So he's like, no, like, I'm too famous.
He got paid $15,000 for the first movie.
Yes.
They offered him $500,000 for Too Fast. And we're like, you get to be like the big supporting character in this. And
You'll
he was
be on
like,
the poster.
yeah, no, thank you.
The beginning of this movie where Tej is talking to the guy from Prison Break, the handsome Latino dude,
Amaury Nolasco. Yes.
who's
Go ahead,
got
sorry.
he's like Orange Julius. So he's talking to Orange Julius, and their wardrobe is so insane. The background is so crazy. I put this on last night. Tiffany, my wife, comes out of the bedroom to say goodnight. I'm in the living room, and she goes, "What movie are you watching?" And I'm like, "It's Too Fast, Too Furious. It's a sequel. See Paul Walker." And she's like, "Yeah, no. I reckon that. Are they at? Is it Halloween or something?" And I'm like, no, that's how Ludacris's character is introduced in this movie, with like an afro pick, an open, big out fro,
Like
a
the
pick in
biggest
there.
afro, like an undercover brother-sized afro.
Yeah, like played for size and laughs.
Yes.
And then like a deep cut fucking like hey, you work in cars, so you'll have coveralls on, but they'll be stylish and open. And then Orange Julius, Slapjack, and whatever David's phone was calling her before.
Devon Aoki.
Devon Aoki. When all three of them, you're like, holy shit, it's like G.I. Joe. Like each one of them matches their car in a way. And you're like, oh, this movie. I'm like, Tiffany's like, is it Halloween? I go, no. But it might as well be.
It's
like,
Toretto
it's
Tuesday. It's Creative Sunday.
You're right. We're recording on Toretto Tuesday.
We
I
are
wonder if people
recording.
know
We
that.
should mention Happy Toretto Tuesday.
Happy Toretto Tuesday.
It's Hot Wheels. It is right. It's like you get your Hot Wheels out and there's an orange one. You're like, I bet a guy in orange would drive this car.
The orange
like,
racer. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
But it also feels like this section of the movie, this opening set piece, looks like a bowl of Fruit Loops held up under a black light. Like it is.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Every car is 8 colors, and
Yes.
none of them overlap between the cars. It's
Right. And they were all like custom made. He was like very particular about what models they got, what people wouldn't drive, disregarded a lot of potential money for sponsorship deals because he was like, no one's driving a fucking Ford Focus in this movie. Get out of here. And then they hired like top of the line people and not just put decals on, but like custom paint each one for each character and whatever. You have these insane neon lights underneath each car.
Which I love. Great choice.
They're racing. They sort of have like Tron, like light streams.
Yeah. It's like fucking building your own PC, the way these guys build their cars.
Yes.
It's like, oh, cool, the tower glows. Yeah.
But like you got Singleton doing like crazy canted camera angles and like big like cartoony push-ins and using a lot of CGI.
Speaking of the car, I love the speaker little sequence where it's like they're having like a sound off. And then the one guy's speaker like has another speaker inside of it.
Yeah, it opens, it like unfurls, and there's 2 more speakers that come out. Dude, that shit is so early 2000s, late 90s. Like, that was my high school years. Everyone in my high school had half their trunk given up to a giant speaker. That was just like a thing on Long Island. It's like your car would just be like, grrr, and you'd be driving like, everyone drove like their dad's 89 Buick Century, but they would put like a $200 speaker in the trunk that would like rattle the fucking locks of your door.
Like
But it was the coolest thing you
suspension breaks because the bass is so loud.
The car is not structurally it doesn't have enough structural integrity to handle that decibel. It's like, but that I love the streetcar culture and the idea of that, and then watching it get absolutely bastardized and movieized is so fucking fun to me, where guys got 2 chicks who are just into the car. Like, I just love this world where it's like, if this is true about car racing, then what else is true in this world? It's like, they are professional athletes.
Yes.
People treat them like they're fucking millionaire Hollywood. When he goes, anyone can race, and you go, I could pick anybody, and then they're like, oh fuck, it's Brian. It's like, you didn't think he would pick a guy who could beat you?
Who's good.
Like, I
at
don't even understand
driving
the
a
rules.
car?
Yeah. And why do all 3 of you still do the race? And more importantly, why do you still jump the bridge after you've lost? It's like,
That is a good point. I would not jump the bridge.
why would you risk trying to just come in 3rd? Like, it's like,
Well, you jump a bridge because that shit's cool as hell. Have you always wanted to do that?
No.
I mean, Tej, he's like,
okay.
told you there was a surprise, and you're like, fuck yeah, Tej. That is not something you should do to your friends without warning them, but that is a wild choice.
It's the thing about it, though. It's like when he says, I told you it'd be a surprise. I'm like, I know that this is going to end fine. If everyone died, does Tej go home and go like, well, that's how it goes when you race, at night in
It was
Miami.
surprising. I was
It was
right.
surprising.
No one. They were expecting to live.
Or is he guilty? He's like, you know what? I should have maybe not sprung the bridge on. Like, maybe I could have alerted.
Well, even if you're fine, if you're Brian, aren't you like, bro, what the fuck was that bridge
insane.
thing?
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, I thought that would be so sick. He's like, no, don't call me in to race people if you're going to fucking make it like, don't invite me here and then also, like, that's like, hey, Haas, you want to come to a party at my house? Then when you show up, I cut to 5 rugby guys, and I'm like, hey, this is the guy who called you guys pussies. Like, what? You invited me to your party, and now you're putting my life in danger. It's like,
It's also so fascinating because, like, I know it's a leap, but in my mind, until I rewatch this movie, I always make the distance shorter. But like in
Yes.
this movie, he is literally the literal leap. But what I was gonna say is, in this movie, Tej is literally a dude who sort of organizes these races and owns like an auto shop. And his level of expertise is like he can put a crazy speaker, as you said, in your trunk.
Yeah, he's not even the car tech guy. There's another character who will get conflated to be just Tej eventually.
Right, because in my mind, I go like, he starts out as the car tech guy, and then he becomes like the world's greatest tech guy, period. But no, it's like
he actually is. It's called out as he's the second best hacker in the world behind Ramses. Right? It's like, where'd you learn that? Owning a mechanic shop in downtown LA?
In Miami.
In this movie, he's a guy who employs a decent tech guy.
Yeah, right.
And then he becomes the second best hacker in the world. Also, I feel like his character in the later movies is like very restrained. Like he becomes the straight man of the group. He's the sober, serious one.
He's the saucer under the teacup. He's the kind of like, all right, guys, like that's kind of his vibe, which is
they got a tank.
Right.
While we're on the topic, Roman isn't a fast talker in this movie.
No, not at all.
No, and like Roman is kind of like a crazy wild card badass, right? Like you're like, chill out, man. You're being too aggressive.
He's like the loose cannon in this, right? Yes.
But after 5, he's the scared one every time,
right?
Which is just such a funny. And as a matter of fact, some would argue in this movie the thing that is the craziest is how sociopathically him and Brian treat each other when they're on the same side during missions.
But like in this movie, they're like Wolverine and Cyclops, right?
Yeah.
Uneasy allies. Right.
And he's just like fucking wild energy. Sometimes he could be a little charming, but he's like fucking, he might pounce on someone at any moment. And then to get the call 2 movies later, I remember when Ampersand was coming out, and he had done Annapolis, Tyrese, with Justin Lin. And I remember him doing press for something else and being like, yeah, I don't know, I was expecting to get the call. Like, I was the second lead of the second movie. Everyone else is back for this 4th movie. It's Justin Lin, director I worked with. I'm waiting. Hopefully, if they make a 5th one, they call me. Can you imagine when they're like...
He's been in Transformers. Like, he was a major guy.
He was
like,
big.
He was at a
big point.
What's the movie Ampersand?
It's the 4th Fast and Furious, which is called Fast Ampersand Furious.
Okay. Well, that's not is that a thing? All right. Sorry.
It's what I call...
I'm not as into these movies as you are, Greg.
Well, Haas, we appreciate... That's perfect for the audience. Though me, David, and Griffin did not need that clarification.
Okay, yeah.
You say ampersand to me, and David, we know exactly what movie you're talking about, but we do appreciate the...
this
turns
is
out,
good perspective, yes.
Even he could be the connoisseur of context.
Ben, the first movie is just titled The Fast and the Furious, right?
Sure.
Then this one, as you know, is called Too Fast, Too Furious.
Too Fast, yep.
Right. Then the third film is called Fast and the Furious. No the at the beginning, Tokyo Drift, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So people were like, what are they going to call the 4th one? The 4th one they call Fast and Furious. It is almost the same title as the first movie. The only difference is they took out the definite articles and put an ampersand in instead of spelling and. So I always call the movie Ampersand.
Okay.
And then 5 is called like Fast 5.
Right.
More or less, right?
Right. Then 6 is Fast Ampersand Furious 6.
Yes.
And then
Furious 7 Furious 7 numeral, because Fast 5 is spelled out. Five.
Yes.
Furious 7 is Furious numeral 7. Then The Fate of the Furious
is 8.
And then F9.
F9. I love it.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
The best.
Named after my favorite key on the keyboard.
Ugh, it's so satisfying.
They should do a tie-in with the F9 key on your keyboard so that you can, if you ever want to watch F9, you just hit F9 on your keyboard.
It should just be if you hit F9, your computer says family.
Family. It's what's important.
Bring, bring.
Click. Hello. Hello. Okay, now I don't want to. Let me know if I'm wrong, but I think once again we're hearing from our friend Wicket the Ewok.
David.
Did I misidentify the Ewok?
I am astonished. Chief Chirpa, I am so sorry for my co-host. to imply that you look the same as Wicket is offensive. It would be offensive to any Ewok, but royalty no less, David. This is Chief Chirpa. Show some respect.
I will say it is surprising considering Chief Chirpa does look pretty different from Wicket. But you know what?
Yeah, it is pretty surprising, David.
The signal's coming from Endor, okay, which is from a galaxy far, far away.
For you to say
so
that. I
it's
think
a little crackly.
Visually, what was happening was very clear.
Well,
and you got to take this L, David.
You did the George Lucas talk show, so you're a little more up on it. But okay. Look, anyway, it's Chief.
I don't do the George Lucas talk show. I just call in sometimes. Watto hosts that. What are you gonna say, David?
It's Chief Chirpa, the chief of the Bright Tree Village on the Forest Moon of Endor, of course. And you're here to tell us about Grubhub. Yes. Okay. So clearly, you're here to drive awareness of their new brand campaign. We serve restaurants because Grubhub loves restaurants. They know their reputations matter. They don't want their reputations to suffer because of them. Good food needs good service. The food got to be fast and fresh and how it was intended to be. And so Grubhub, when they get you this food, they want it to be like you're, eating in the restaurant.
Eat chop, Grubhub.
All right. So look, we've talked about this, Griffin.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot, yeah.
Sometimes, maybe it's too hot outside. You don't want to cook. Maybe there's been a global pandemic. You feel a little itchy about sitting in a restaurant. You don't want to cook.
For example, yeah.
So, maybe you open up Grubhub. Maybe you order from, I think I've shouted them out before, but Lorena Pastificio. I can't do it. Lorena. It's called Lorena. Pastificio? I don't know how you say it. Pastificio?
You're taking so many L's today. Look, the point is, Grubhub, you could do pickup as well. Sometimes you maybe just want to go for a walk. You want an excuse to take a little jaunt outside of your apartment.
I'm just looking at my recent Grubhub orders. That's why Lorena came up.
Koticha, Grubhub.
I got Wendy's the other day too, Griffin. I got to be honest with you.
Wendy's.
Different brand of restaurant.
Oh, Chirpa likes Wendy's.
No, that's cool. Wendy's is good. Look, Grubhub is great. We all know what they do. And today they're doing a little extra to serve Panera. You can get a free delivery perk on your first order Panera for $15 or more. So as long as you order $15 from Panera, you can get a free delivery perk from Grubhub. You can order through the app or online. It's Grubhub. They serve restaurants.
I'm sorry, Chirpa spoke over you. Can you just say that one more time?
Grubhub, we serve restaurants. Okay, thank you, Chirpa.
But yes, okay, so this awesome race happens, and then Brian is stopped by the cops, right? And we realize, because the first movie, you're like maybe 30 minutes in before the turn happens that you realize he's an undercover cop.
Yeah, there's a lot of lead up. Yeah.
Right, you start with him at the cafe, hitting on Mia, then meeting Dom, getting in the fight, then he goes to a race. He shows up, he doesn't win, but he makes an impression, all that shit. Then finally you see him going to the cops. And in the first movie, that wasn't part of the advertising campaign. It's genuinely like a first act twist that this guy's undercover. So this one you're watching, you don't really understand. Is he a cop? Has he totally given up to just be a racer? Especially because the ending of the first movie is ambiguous. But then James Remar stops him with a gun, like a grappling hook gun that has an electro hook.
He shoots an electric trident out of a harpoon gun out of a helicopter?
Right. I mean, this is another thing where, in 2003, people are jumped the shark, fucked it up, ruined everything that was good about the first movie. This is a cartoon now. And when you watch this in 2021, you're like, yes, of course, the types of weapons they have in the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah, I know. This movie is calm by that standard. They should bring James Remar back. They should bring him back for F9.
Now this is what I want to say, though. Do you not watch this movie the whole time expecting James Remar to turn out to be working for the bad guys?
Yeah, because James Remar is a classic scumbag. He plays many a villain over the years. So, yes, it would be obvious. Instead, it's just he's annoying.
Right.
I guess. He's sort of he's the one who's well, I don't know, or that's a bad idea. That's really all he's got.
Well, because there's Wilkins, who I love.
Well, Wilkins, who's played by Tom Barry.
He's the guy from the first one,
who's in the first one. Sorry, Bilkins, not Wilkins.
Bilkins. Sorry.
Agent Bilkins. He's great. I love that actor. as far as I
Tom
know,
Barry is his name.
Yeah, as far as I know, he's still alive.
Correct.
Yeah, he's 70 years old, but come on, bring him back to. This is my feeling watching this movie. I know they brought in
Bring everyone back.
I know Eva Mendes is like retired and she's like the white whale. She's like the one where if you got her.
I'm not taking that as an excuse. They got her at the end of 5. I'm not going to be happy until she comes back.
But like, get Tom Barry back. Get Devon Aoki. She's apparently sort of semi-retired as well. Bring in
fucking Slapjack back. Get Michael Ealy back.
Julius. Like, come on.
Verone literally says at the end of this movie, like, I'll see you again. It's like he's got to wander in Fast 10 and be like, oh, did I miss like when they finally saved the president from the aliens or whatever, and he walks out and he goes, oh god damn, I missed the whole thing, didn't I?
Let's talk about Cole Hauser. This is a very curious casting decision.
Okay, so I just on the subject of Cole Hauser, I just want to say, bring him back. This is the least reputable source in the world. Okay. But I was looking at the Fast and Furious wiki,
like the internal wiki for the universe of
Fast and Furious. Right. .fandom.com. Yes. And I was sort of trying to take account of like which main Fast and Furious villains are still canonically alive and which ones are dead.
Okay.
Not that really matters, right? So I was like, the other thing I was thinking is that what they should bring back is the like Johnny Tran's gang, right? Johnny Tran, who's like the main villain of the first movie,
played by Bond villain Rick Yoon.
Rick Yoon, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, he's good. Yeah.
Right. I was like, that feels like that's one of those original sin foundational rivalries in Dom's past that you could bring back from the dead, right?
Right.
This Wikipedia entry says the original ending of Furious 7, before it was rewritten due to Paul Walker's death, featured a post-credit scene where a team consisting of Johnny Tran, Carter Verone,
that's Cole Hauser's character,
Arturo Braga, who is the John Ortiz character from Ampersand, who has
of course come back, right?
Comes in 6. Zizi, who is like the henchman hitman character in Fast 5, working for the main mob boss villain.
Yeah.
And Deckard Shaw are brought together to form a super team to go after Dom and Brian.
Right. So it's like a Thunderbolts, like a Justice League Dark or whatever, right? Like the villains have united. But and so you're saying this was cut to accommodate instead the whole.
Look, that is all it says on the Fast and Furious Wikia with no citation. So that very well might be fan fiction, right? But I read that and I go, well, they should do that. Like they should like make it clear that there's a league of supervillains and that fucking Cole Hauser is working with John Ortiz and everybody.
Here's the only reason you don't do that. The villains in Fast and Furious are not really the thing.
Right.
Until later when they build up the Shaws. And honestly, that kind of, that had its pluses and minuses, them doing that, right? Like before then, yeah, the villains are pretty, like you're saying all these names where I'm like, right, Rick Yoon. It's like they're pretty disposable. Family is the most important thing, yada, yada, yada.
That is why, David, I would not necessarily be that excited if they announced they were bringing back one of those guys. If they announced that all 6 guys have formed a Voltron.
Yeah, if they've got like a Suicide Squad of
yes!
Fast and the Furious bad guys. That's really
right.
funny.
Like, well, I just think it's funny if all these guys show up and they're like, you thought we were expendable?
Speaking of Griffin, we were talking about this off mic, actors who you're like, what are they up to? And it turns out they're on some TV show. What TV show is Cole Hauser on right now? What hit
Jesus. Show? He's on a hit show?
Hit.
Network?
One of the most watched shows on television, not network, cable.
He's on a cable show. That's one of the most watched shows on television. He's not on one of the Walking Dead shows.
No, he's on. I know I know the answer to this. I just don't know the name of the show because there's like 8 shows that fit in that world.
Fuck. Is it like a USA Network thing?
Yes, it's one of the shows that you don't know what channel it's on. It's like,
on the Paramount Network.
Exactly.
Is he on Yellowstone?
Yes.
He's on Yellowstone.
That's the name of it.
Kaz and Wes Bentley and Kelly Riley and Danny Houston and Gil Birmingham. They're just all plugging away.
I saw him on the Long Island Railroad once when I was coming home from my internship or my PA job with my wife. He was with his parents, and we were sitting in like the same section, the same train car, and I said, "Hey, man, I love you as an actor. I'm young. I don't understand the level how you're supposed to talk to people like that yet. I haven't had enough of the reverse engagements that I realize how awful I'm being of a person at this point.
You had not yet gotten to the point where you tell people to fuck off on the LIRR.
Yes, exactly. So, and I'm like, I think you're such a great. He's like, yeah. I'm like, Good Will Hunting and. And I'm like panicking, trying to think of another movie.
You can't even say like School Ties.
No, I don't remember School Ties. I forget. I say another. I finally come to one. I'm like, I can't place the other movies.
Confused. Right.
Days of Confused. That's what it is. He's the paddle guy in Days of Confused. So I say Days of Confused. He's like, oh, that's really and I've been in this exact situation where he's like, okay, and like turns back, and his parents are like, talk to the boy. You know what I mean? Like his parents give him the look like, Cole,
Go on.
like, come on, this is part of the bit, and so I've seen it with my mom where we were in Vegas and my mom is going, no, you should take a picture with him. And I'm like, the guy's not even asking for a picture.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's just a fan of Guy Code. Let him walk away. And my mom's like, no, I'll take a picture of you guys. What's your name? John, give him your email. I'm like, wait, Mom, stop, dude. So it's fun to do that once, see it happen to Cole.
I was looking here. I found the production notes from when this movie was coming out that they would send to press to consult. And there's the whole sort of write-up about the cast, right, where they give a couple graphs to each cast member. And most of the people in this movie are like fresh stars or this is their breakout thing, right?
Yeah, or you know them, but you don't know them as actors.
Right, so it's like 3 paragraphs where they're trying to like make it sound like they've done shit before. Where like this is Eva Mendes's big year where she sort of breaks out, where she has like this and Out of Time and Stuck on You and is like suddenly in a lot of movies. Training Day, she has the one scene like 2 years before that, and that's what sort of puts her on the map. But so they're like sort of saying like Eva Mendes is like one of the hottest new actresses. She has 5 movies coming out. Like everyone they're sort of saying that about. Like Tyrese has been on MTV a lot. He's just now one of the most exciting new leading men. And then you go to Cole Hauser, and it's like Cole Hauser has recently signed on to do Mel Gibson's Paparazzi. He was recently seen Anton Fuqua's Tears of the Sun, right?
True.
He's playing the boyfriend of Robin Wright Penn and White Oleander. So you're like, okay, that's sort of where his career was at, all these movies that don't really connect, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then you look at the graph, and then it says his additional film credits include Pitch Black, Stephen Frears' The High-Low Country, Gus Van Sant's Good Will Hunting, John Singleton's Higher Learning, Adam Goldberg's Indie, Scotch and Milk, Robert Mandel's School Ties, and Richard Linklater's cult hit Dazed and Confused. And you're like, wow, he was
a thing.
like, he did have a good fucking resume at that point.
But he never had I feel like he didn't get enough meat in any of those.
No.
I mean, wonderful career. I would kill to have that career.
But always the smaller
But
role.
always like number 8 on the call sheet.
Always
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
like supporting asshole. Like that was his zone.
That was his zone. You know, he had actually gotten an Indie Spirit supporting actor
Tigerland?
nomination for Tigerland, which
Yeah.
he's excellent in. The movie that was, most best known as Colin Farrell's breakout movie. But it's for a drill sergeant performance.
Sure.
And he nails it. It's a supporting asshole performance, and he nails it. And it just was clear that's probably his. That's his zone forever. That's what he's going to do forever. Like, he got that show K-ville with Anthony Anderson that was like a New Orleans cop show post Katrina that was like so hyped and got canceled, went nowhere. Like that's like a swing that missed.
Paparazzi was like his one movie where he got to be the lead, and that movie doesn't exist.
He is not, in my opinion, particularly good.
He's
casting.
in Jarhead 2, Field of Fire.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
Holy
Not
shit,
Jarhead 3, to be clear.
No.
He only did 2.
He only did 2. Yeah, you were gonna say, David, he's not particularly good casting.
I don't think he's not the person I would pick to play an Argentinian drug lord in Miami. That's all. Okay?
Sure.
I don't mean to be mean to Cole Hauser. I don't know why. I know he was in a movie that John Singleton directed. I assume
John
that is the
Singleton had just
connection.
cast him to play a Nazi skinhead.
But Yeah. I mean, he's just. Do you guys like Cole Hauser in this movie?
I think he's fun. I think they probably should have rewritten the character to not be Argentinian.
Yeah, like, he's got okay scumbag energy, but
Yeah.
I don't really buy him as the big man that
In
like
Miami
Customs
specifically.
is trying to get. Yeah, exactly. Like, he seems like the guy who will then get you the next guy. You know what I mean? If you're trying to flip
Yes.
up the ladder.
He seems aggressively domestic.
Yes.
Very not
Yes.
international. For a guy who to be chased by Customs, the most like suburban American looking fucking guy in the movie is the Customs is after this Miami based whatever he is.
I think he is successful in projecting a very Miami grody-ness, but it is
He's good at the dirtbag side.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
It is interesting for how much Cole Hauser's thing was being kind of an aggro asshole, right? And getting nominated for playing a drill sergeant, that he feels pretty low energy in this movie. And that feels like a choice that he's doing to underplay shit, which is maybe not the right choice for this movie.
He's playing it too cool for sure.
Yeah.
Him and Brian.
Which is saying a lot for this movie.
yeah.
Yes.
Obviously, he has the big torture scene. Like, that's his kind
Right.
of really nasty scene where he puts the rat on Mark Boone Jr. in the bucket.
Oh shit, yeah.
But that's kind of more. He like yells and he says like the movie's one fuck there, right? Like, so he's like a little
Right.
more dialed up there. But the rat is kind of
I don't know. David, death by rat?
no. The rat is kind of the scariest thing in that scene. Like, Cole Hauser is like maybe number 2.
He doesn't get any other moments where he's like a badass.
No,
yeah.
and it's like that's
cuts the cigar. That's
right,
about it.
his whole thing about the fucking cutter. He loves that cigar cutter.
Yeah.
But that's the moment where it's like, okay, that dynamic's interesting, where you're sort of playing the like low level Fast and Furious version of a Bond villain, right? Where it's like, here's my horrible contraption that's going to torture you. And he can stand there quietly and calmly and monologue about like the pain they're about to experience. That works. When he's just standing outside of his villa and he's monologuing with that same quiet energy, you want someone to be like fucking slicing up the ham a little bit more. I will say, in quarantine, I tried to watch all the Vin Diesel movies I'd never seen before. And one of Vin Diesel's least existent movies is A Man Apart with F. Gary Gray, which was a movie I think he shot after Fast and Furious, but before it came out. And then they like delayed it to try to make it a bigger hit off of the fact that he had popped. And it's like a nothing fucking undercover cop movie. But Timothy Olyphant, oddly, plays the Cole Hauser-esque character in that movie's LA to Vin Diesel's Vin Diesel. And I just, watching this, think about how much fun Olyphant is having in that role in that movie. And it's like, there's no scenario in which Timothy Olyphant, having passed on playing Dominic Toretto, is going to agree to play the villain in the sequel.
Oh, right.
But you want someone with a little bit of that humor, I think.
Yeah, he doesn't have any sense of humor. That's a good call.
Yeah, putting him in good company with the rest of the movie, but like maybe you need one person who has a sense of humor to be in the movie.
Right.
Well, that's so obviously Paul Walker is no cut up. I'm never going to turn to Paul Walker for laughs. As much as we said, like, he is funny.
Yeah.
Situationally, like it's something like Pleasantville, like
Sure.
he could do that. But so Roman obviously should be the comic relief, and there are moments,
Yes.
like the ejector seat, like there's stuff. But he is also kind of like trying to do a Vin Diesel, like he's trying to also be a badass.
This is the problem. Roman sort of has to be both parts of the buddy dynamic. Like, Tyrese is so much more dynamic in this movie than Walker is, that he simultaneously has to be the funny guy and the scary guy.
Well, somebody has to be somebody, because if you're
Right.
looking across at your
Right.
scene partner, Paul Walker, and he's like, I don't know, man. You're like, okay, all right, yeah, I guess I'll carry this one for us.
and this movie doesn't have the Fast and Furious, tension of he's undercover, or will he get found out, any of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, sure. They're undercover with Cole Hauser, but like there's not any tension to that.
No.
that there's not really any tension to, are they going to get the bad guys?
No.
What that, like when it's like, oh, these, his two heavies were told to kill you. I'm not afraid of those two heavy guys. Like, like they're not the henchmen, Enrique and Roberto. Like, they're not going to kill Paul Walker.
No, as a matter of fact, you can tell Eva Mendes at that point, like, hey, you could have texted this to me because you're going to get us killed by standing here right now. Oh, and Verone's outside you, and he doesn't see you climbing on the roof of the boat.
I love Eva Mendes as an actress. She's got, and she shares a birthday with my daughter. Oh no, she shared a due date with my daughter. That's what it is.
Oh,
but she's got nothing to do in this. Like, she's pretty short-changed by this.
I mean, she's another Paul Walker, which it's like, you don't want another person on the inside.
She's like the fourth undercover person in the last two movies. Yeah.
Why isn't she just doing all of it? It's true. It's a fair question.
Yeah, absolutely. Because his whole thing is like, this guy is like a fucking dork. He's going to stick out like a sore thumb in these circles I run and let me get my guy. And then once he brings his guy in, they're like, by the way, that girl that you were flirting with at the race earlier, she's on the inside as well. She's clearly pulling it off. He didn't sniff her out.
Right. That's all true. She's deep embedded. She's like running missions for the guy, basically.
Maybe she doesn't have her driver's license.
That would be funny if that's what it was revealed to be.
A woman who's undercover and being accused constantly of fucking the crime boss. Like, we know you're in love with him. It's like, what? That's like in Fast One, fucking what's his name? Blinken screaming at fucking, I know you're fucking Toretto. I know Brian. You sucking off Dominic Toretto at the garage late at night after a couple of Coronas. It's like, what? Why is this your jump to for Eva Mendes? She's been under for a year. Get her out. We can't. Yeah. Well, then it's your fault. Like, if she's doing you guys are the bad fucking.
She must have fallen for him. This guy's irresistible. Him?
Yeah.
I think she can resist Cole Hauser.
She can't resist Brian, though, baby. She loves his bracelet at the bar. When she's touching him up, I'm like, what is she doing? She's fake dating a fucking supervillain.
You're right, though, David, that it's like the first movie has like three kind of like successfully bottled tension dynamics in it. Right?
There's a lot of good, intertwined personal and plot tensions.
Brewster and Walker undeniably have chemistry in a way that Mendes and Walker do not. So and their courtship is so much more like fleshed out. The movie starts with him being there at the fucking shop getting a tuna melt for the 8th consecutive day because he's got a crush on this lady. Like, it feels like a real thing. So when he's flirting with Eva Mendes in this, it's just kind of like, okay, so she's the new lady, like you're kind of aware in the same way that when Roman enters, you're like, so he's the new Dom. Like, you're like, I've seen him have more interesting chemistry with two other people in these roles. And also with the added tension of he's trying to maintain a cover for these people. His feelings and respect for them are real, but they run contrary to his job obligations. And this movie, he's on the level with everybody, and they just kind of don't like him.
Yeah, he's kind of like a shitty employee. Like, they're like a necessary evil. Like, I guess we'll work with Brian, the fucking car guy again.
Right,
yeah.
like everyone just kind of is like, I don't know if I really trust this guy, but he's not lying to them. They're just like, I don't know, he just seems kind of dodgy.
Dude, you breaking down Eva Mendes and Brian's relationship in this movie makes me side with Roman when he's like, bro, what the fuck? You're trying to fuck this chick like immediately? It'd be like, yeah, wait, now that I think about it, weren't you in love with another woman from X amount of days ago?
You had like... a great romance with Mia a couple years ago.
And now you're like, just see a smoke show at the fucking finish line, and you're like, I want to oh, she's an undercover cop living a fucking dangerous cover. Well, I'm going to still try to hook up with her. Of course. But it's like, why? Yeah. Why?
It's one of those things, though, where it's just like Vin and Lynn are undeniably just kind of geniuses for having the vision of like how much of Ampersand is about Brian and Mia being together again, like after he left her, and you're like, fuck, I didn't realize that like Brian O'Connor and Mia Toretto have the charge of Indiana Jones and Marion Ravenwood in this franchise.
Yeah.
That it feels like, this is fucking like Allison Duty, like Eva Mendes, you're just kind of like, whatever. That was the one true love of the character was Mia.
Right. You're great. We all like you, but right. You're not going to stick around. It's all the reason to bring her back. Give her something to do in Fast
Absolutely.
14.
Absolutely. I want to see her playing off of fucking Roman. Like, I just think there's stuff to be mined from her and Roman together since they have a history. But Roman's intro in this is cool. Like, much like the movie is never cooler than its opening race sequence, Roman is never more compelling as a character in this movie than his introduction. Where you're just like, fuck, this is a different type of character. He's at a fucking like motor rally, demolition derby. He's got an ankle bracelet, so he lives in a fucking RV in like the back. He hates Brian. He's like fucking clocking him the second he gets the chance. He thinks Brian betrayed him.
Yeah, I didn't remember that they have a history before the Fast and the Furious movies until this rewatch of this, where I was like, oh, that's him and Roman's relationship, which now makes it make way more sense in the later movies because they are tighter than him and Toretto in a weird, like than Brian and Toretto is.
Right.
And it's funny that now that Brian is out of the picture, the Toretto and Tyrese, Toretto and Roman don't like connect over like, it's still the same dynamic they have where like, shut up, you crazy. It's like, wait, we've been doing this for way too long to be ball busting Roman anymore. He's like,
the other thing is, and F9 just doubles down on this, but at this point, Roman is like the third lead of the franchise, right?
Yeah,
which is
basically
wild.
Yeah.
The billing on F9, I believe, is Diesel, Rodriguez, Gibson, right? So essentially, like, Diesel is Clooney and Rodriguez is Pitt. And Gibson has become Damon, right? In this Ocean's 11. And they do fit those character types. Like, that's essentially how they function within the team as well. But then he doesn't really have any relationship to Letty and Dom, who are the mother and the father of the team. Right. So his role now is essentially, A, everyone telling him to shut up, right? But B, more than anything, that he's the third wheel to Tej and Ramsey.
Right. Yeah.
Because Tej is kind of his straight man, even though in this movie he and Tej don't really have any dynamic.
No.
Right.
It's a wonder that they sort this all out over the course. I mean, you get over 20 hours of final edited footage to piece together a story. You should have enough time to reconnect some characters. But it really is a testament that when you unpack how they all know each other, you're like, why does this matter? Why would Roman still be in the crew?
Yes.
Why would anyone, once you have like $10 billion, ever do another mission?
Well, especially when they're just like, you're looking at the best team in the world and you're like, Roman's kind of defining characteristic is that he is overwhelmed by what's happening.
Roman, what is Roman's what is he bringing to the team? Like, when they bring him back in Fast 5, what is it that he's for?
He's a fast talker. They essentially say he's a smooth operator.
We're gonna need guys who can blow doors down.
If you're doing if he Dungeons and Dragons, he's a bard. He's the charmer.
He is the face of their A team.
Yeah. But he doesn't even play that role. He gets like 2 times to do that in like 6 movies. He does the thing that he's reintroduced. We're going to need a guy. It's like, we need a guy who can get anywhere. And it's like, okay, that's one person. We need and a fast talker. And then we cut to Roman and you're like, oh shit, we're going to get some fast talking. And the one time he does it in like 6 or 7, he fucking blows it.
He always blows it.
Disaster. He's always bad at that. Yeah. He always is immediately like throwing phones at people. Yeah.
Because they have to make him bad at it narratively.
Yes.
Because Tyrese is not charming enough in real life to convey, I'm the charming guy in this movie.
Well, and what he's most charismatic at doing is playing kind of a goofball.
Yeah,
at this
he's good
point.
at being kind of scared and in over his head in these movies a lot.
I want to make it clear. I love Roman. I like what he's become in the franchise. I like the performance that Tyrese gives now. It's just so fucking bizarre trying to like correlate that to who this guy is in this movie.
Right.
I don't even think he's bad in this movie. I think he's doing
I think he's good in it.
He's doing a good leading man shit.
Yeah.
With a pretty thin character and a pretty thin script. And this movie kind of, as we're all basically acknowledging, it like kicks off really well. And, the last act is kind of like, okay, let's wrap it up. Like there's no tension. They just got to get the bad guys. I think he's good, but
I do too.
He's not, and he's good enough that you're like, yeah, make this guy the second adult human in a Transformers movie.
Right.
You're not like, get this guy to the top of the A-list. It's not that level of a busting. Whereas a Vin Diesel in a Fast and Furious 1, you are like that. You're like, okay, what can we do with this guy?
Put this guy in a Sidney Lumet movie ASAP.
Oh, God. But you look at Tyrese's movie career after this, and he does like Flight of the Phoenix, Four Brothers, Annapolis. Those are all movies where he's like number 2, right? Waist Deep
also,
is the
Jordana
one.
Brewster's in Annapolis. I've never seen it. You guys mentioned it. I looked it up.
And it's Lynn.
Oh fuck, that's so funny.
I've never seen it either.
I've never seen it either.
All right, well I'm watching.
It was one of those like post Spider-Man James Franco movies that was like completely anonymous, along with Flyboys, right? And was there another one? I feel like he just like did a bunch of shit right after Spider-Man that was like, whatever.
That was the big one I think of. Yeah,
Franco's one of those guys that's like, oh yeah, I like him in movies, and then you're like, look at his IMDb. It's like, I haven't seen 80% of these. Like, how many fucking the guy works.
The other one is Tristan and Isolde. That's the other one.
Oh, right.
He did 3 big like movies that nobody watched in a row.
If I can add on to what you said, Gabrus, A, you go, I haven't seen 90% of these, and B, you go, actually, I hated that movie.
Yeah, right.
Like, you realize that you dislike the films and his performances in most of his work.
Right.
There are just the rare exceptions where he like
shines like
delivers.
insane. Yeah,
Yes.
like Pineapple Express. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy's fucking mega talented.
Right, where he's not sleepwalking. Right. But yeah, it's weird.
He's not focusing more energy on being a creep offset. But yes, Tyrese, and then even after he's in that zone where it's like he does the 3 Transformers movies, he does Death Race, like all these things where they're like, Tyrese could be like the number 2 guy. He can be like the sidekick or the rival. And now he's comic relief.
Yeah, it's crazy that they haven't put like a big comic actor in the movies yet. And I mean, I know that's because every 6 months one of them is saying something insane on a podcast and unable to work. But like, put fucking Kevin Hart in this movie. Like, why? Like,
well, I mean, Gabrus, you forgot, of course, Kevin Hart's breakout role in Hobbs and Shaw as a flight attendant who is very impressed with The Rock.
God.
Oh right.
Oh, God.
I wish they went back to that well in the credits and stuff.
Just more of it.
There's nothing good. There's nothing I really like in Hobbs and Shaw, but there's nothing worse than those celebrity cameos where, right, as you say, Griffin, it's not just that they're there, but they're like, man, you're the coolest, Dwayne Johnson. Like, like they're there to be like, love
Both
you. Yes.
Kevin Hart and Ryan Reynolds each get 2 scenes where they're just like, you're like the most impressive guy in the world, right? You're like, you rule.
Wow, you're huge.
Like, I want to be you. Do you have like I don't know, tequila I could buy or anything?
Is there like a big comic actor that would be big enough but not too big that could be added to Fast 10?
Look, here's the honest answer. The person who feels like he would be a perfect fit for this franchise is Lil Rel.
Yes. Oh, perfect call.
He you know what? But here's the thing. It can't happen because Tyrese would probably be like, excuse me, that I am the comic relief of the Fast and Furious. You can't take that from me now.
That's and also I think Vin wouldn't want someone who's actually good at comedy to be the comedy relief in the movie, because then that person might excel at what they do, and Vin is, I think, broken in a competitive way where it would kill him if someone was like, I think he likes that Tyrese only lands 60% of his jokes. He doesn't want him to be too good in his movie.
Yes.
It's going to make $1 billion anyway, so I'd rather not be outshined at any moment by Tyrese.
I'll asterisk this by saying I think F9 is maybe the most comedically successful Roman movie.
Oh, shit.
And I do feel
That's
like
good
on
news.
average, like the joke writing is a little better on F9 than it usually is. Like it feels like there's actual joke construction as opposed to like, what's the kind of one-liner a character would say in an action movie? But I do think you're right about that. Like, I don't think he wants someone coming in who's going to improvise and start scoring like 3-pointers in every scene.
Yes,
and just like
exactly.
steal the movie being hilarious.
Yeah, he can't have Babu Frick was in talks for F9.
Babu Frick was in talks.
Yeah, and
yes.
Vin was like, I can't have Babu Frick in here.
Yeah.
That guy's a
Pull me off
fucking
the
legend.
screen.
Dude.
But I do want to note, I did not know this, Tyrese Gibson is in Morbius. He signed a 3-picture deal to play Simon Stroud, the FBI agent hunting Morbius. And apparently he has a high-tech weapons-grade arm. So that's cool.
He's like the guy chasing Morbius, right? He is the
he's the guy who's got to get Morbius.
But his character is someone in the comics. I want to say his character becomes somebody.
Yes.
No, I don't. He does? Simon Stroud? I think he's just the guy who hunts Morbius. I don't think he's very cool.
No, he's in the Morbius, but obviously they're turning him into, like, they're making everybody a character. It's like Agent Carter, it's like who's appeared in something. It's like, add them to this fucking $1 billion multimedia series.
I went to Simon Stroud's Marvel wiki page, and the subheadings are Hunt for the Man-Wolf, Hunt for Morbius, teaming up with Morbius. So oh no,
switch sides.
Yeah, but Morbius feels like him being like, I don't know, I should be in other movies, right? Like,
right? Shouldn't I? Like, I'm a valuable, famous person. Shouldn't I do some of this stuff?
Right. Well, all that I'm saying about Tyrese, like, he doesn't blow me away in these movies, but he's better than 75% of like blockbuster stars. It's like,
absolutely,
put him in fucking anything. You know, like, I don't think he could do the shit like Bernthal's doing in a movie or something like that, but he could do anything less serious than that. Tyrese could just fucking pull any blockbuster.
John, we both just watched the Angelina Jolie Firewatch movie, which I refuse to say the name of because I always forget.
To those who want me dead or whatever. I hate phrase titles. I never remember them.
Too long.
Yeah.
But Bernthal, as he does in fucking Wind River, as he does in all Taylor Sheridan movies, I guess, just killing his supporting role. Just doing doing exactly what's expected of him.
I fucking love the Angelina Jolie movie. And I loved Wind River, too. Two straight up just like 90s movies where even like Wind River even has the sort of like white guy who's more Native American than other people. Like,
that was my issue with Wind River. Yes.
Yes.
Wind River had some issues. Those Who Wish Me Dead, I had a pretty good time with. I didn't really have a lot of complaints.
I didn't have any complaints. Straight up 90s movie, like great ensemble, insane job, and then an insane storyline that has nothing to do with the job thrown on top of it. Like, just a movie about a smoke jumper is cool enough, ask Howie Long, but then it's like, now also murderers and villains just being pure villains. That's what's so 90s about it, I feel like, too. There's no like gray area where they're like, well, they're trying to do something for society. No, they're just, he literally starts a forest fire.
You know they're bad because they have guns.
Yeah,
they're guys with machine guns who will shoot the good guys. That's their only character.
Okay, so to bring things full circle though, like you were talking, Gabrus, about how watching this movie being like, man, we didn't know how fucking good we had it. Like the early 2000s vestiges of the 90s big dumb action movie, right?
Yeah.
And even though this isn't a perfect movie, watching it today, it gives you that nostalgic jolt. Like it is wild now knowing what the Fast and Furious franchise has become, that like the big fucking money trailer shot stunt at the end of this movie is they have to land a car on a boat.
Yeah, and that's nothing to what the crew will get up to, but it's fucking the beginning of it. The boat,
right?
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun, but like this movie cost $76 million, right? Which is like a huge punch up from the first movie costing like 25 or something. And like this used to be an oversized, big, stupid action movie.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
That was a $76 million movie where one vehicle lands on one other vehicle one time.
Right.
And the problem is then when your stupid action movie becomes $300 million, and I will say, I think the Fast and Furious franchise is largely the exception to this. Like, it is the one franchise that has grown to that size that still works for me. But like, now that's the only sphere in which this type of movie can exist, is that budget level. It has to be that huge and global. Then you get to a point where it's like, well, then how do you make a $20 million Taylor Sheridan firefighter movie?
Yeah.
You know, it like feels like anomalous because you're like, well, the gulf is too wide there. That movie should cost $76 million, you know?
Right.
Like, people don't know what to do with that movie being that size and being that sort of like modest in its ambition.
Yeah, and then don't even start talking about comedies. Like,
Oh, well, yeah.
Then you're like, bring back the middle class of American society and films.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. It's just like 2003 is a big ass summer. You know, like, you have The Matrix Reloaded coming out. You have Finding Nemo.
You have one of the Lord of the Rings.
Griff, you're just spoiling the box office game right now. Come on. But yes, 2003, big summer.
Yeah, it just, and this was like one of the big sequels, but still it's like $76 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you say, the climax is, you know, they jump a car on a boat,
Yeah.
and there's an ejector seat.
And there's no Star-Lord.
No one opens a portal in the sky, and there's not even the later Fast and Furious stuff where it's like, oh my God, they have a tank and a submarine, and we have to jump, 8 people from a skyscraper to another skyscraper. Whatever, you know, like they're not pulling any, nonsense like that.
No. I do think like Singleton maintains a lot of energy in this movie. It is kind of like just pleasant to watch a bright summer Miami movie. Like,
Yes!
especially the first movie is so much like dingy, dark LA back streets, right? There's something cool just about the change of color palette. The time we're recording this, the Eternals trailer just came out this week, and everyone on the internet's talking about the muddiness and the murkiness of Marvel movies and how washed out everything is, the lack of colors. And this movie, like, even when you get out of that opening race sequence, it's still like, man, like, the sky is so blue in this movie. Like, the trees are so green.
Tej's mechanic shop is like walking into like Discovery Zone.
Yeah.
Everything is like bright blocked colors. It fucking everything looks great in this movie.
And it's got like camera movements and wide shots. It's not like all done in like claustrophobic coverage, you know? Like, even the dialogue scenes like have a sense of like scale and scope and energy to them. I mean, you'll have things like, the Singleton touches, but there's the sequence, I guess, when they're trying out the new cars, I think it is. I don't remember if it's that or if it's when Cole Hauser has them like do the trial run for them. But that sequence where they like run through the middle of like the town and there's the dude crossing the street.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And you're like watching the people on the porch, watching the cars go by. And you're sort of like regrounding the community in which they're intercepting. Yeah. Like, that stuff is fun. The movie just kind of like becomes a bummer when it has to get back to the plot because it's such a fucking generic like procedural cop episode.
It's just paint by numbers. That's the thing. You could juice it up a little bit more and it would be better. And instead it's like, does James Remar want to pull the plug? No.
Yeah.
Okay, and on with the next scene. There's just nothing there. Like, they get in each other's face a little bit. Like, Remar is mad that Tyrese shoots at them in that, but then it's like papered over immediately. Then it's like, well, whatever.
The stakes ostensibly are, will Tyrese and Paul Walker mend their relationship, right? Which I feel like they do and they don't too quickly. Like, after the first fight, then it sort of becomes like every other scene they're getting along well or they're a little testy. It doesn't feel like there's an arc of him gradually winning his trust again. Then
it
you
definitely
get that
should
scene-
have more bromance. I can't believe how,
Absolutely.
like, there's not a moment
It
where
should have more.
There's not a moment where one of them or the other does something like, I mean, I guess we do have Roman showing up and saving Paul Walker in the fist fight. But there definitely could have been a couple of moments where you think he's going to turn on Roman or rat Roman out. Like, some kind of, like, give us some sort of fucking relationship drama. Let's see him. We had that with Toretto and Brian. You're obviously trying to make it again. It's like, add a little drums. Yeah.
I do find it interesting. I remember when this movie came out, so much of the dialogue was about like, this is the most homoerotic like guys movie since Top Gun. And Singleton in interviews talked about what an influence Top Gun was for him on this. And people were like,
and Tyrese is so jacked and there's so much
his body
energy,
is
which I love.
amazing. When he fucking breaks that window, I was like, who? Like
he's
he just
incredible
randomly
guy.
takes his shirt off, wraps it around his hand, and blasts that.
I like that because then Paul Walker's like, hey, you could just open the door Paul Walker style.
Yeah.
This is how I open car doors.
I watch these movies over and over again, and I don't know how he does it, but no one has ever worn a blank t-shirt as well as Paul Walker does.
Yes.
Like anytime Paul Walker puts on a t-shirt with nothing on, I'm like, fuck, why does that look so good?
Where's the hell out of it? You know,
Oh, dude.
It's the same way that he drives these little like Toyotas and these little Mitsubishi, these tiny little cars, and he does make them kind of cool, like the little roadster things he got. You know, like they're cool.
That's the thing. Like he does not give a good acting performance in this movie, but he undeniably works as a movie star. Like he is just a compelling guy to watch.
Yeah.
You don't.
He makes
honestly,
stuff seem cool.
he doesn't need to act in these movies.
No.
And he and he doesn't. But the movie is still
right. And
he's still value added.
Yes, he's got a certain integrity, but it is like the balance of the thing, you know, where it's like you feel it after Walker dies in real life that like there's a piece that they cannot recapture of the yin and yang of Brian and Dom. You know, and like I do think F9 is helped by adding Mia back into the equation, but there's something just about those two guys together that was just like magical. And Brian on his own, or Brian running lead with a guy who's like kind of beholden to him. I mean, that's another thing, is that the first movie is so much Brian trying to impress Dom. It really feels like he has a friend crush on this guy, you know? And this one, it's like Brian trying to keep Roman in line, but also hoping Roman forgives him. I do think the big scene where Roman sort of says like, hey, I watched that first movie, I heard you let the other guy get away. I think that scene's played pretty well, but it also is a scene that kind of breaks the reality of the movie, because it's like, you heard about that? What do you mean?
In what, the papers? Like, what the hell?
You were in jail and then you were working at a demolition derby and someone told you, hey, you know that guy who was your friend who was a cop who didn't rat you out, but you always thought he did rat you out, and you've held it against him just because you feel like he picked a side, even though you now conclusively know that it wasn't his fault. He let another guy go. Like, who would relay that to him?
These are all fair questions. Look, the world of Too Fast, Too Furious is complicated.
David.
Yes, Griffin. Yes.
Can I slow down the podcast for a moment and get personal here?
Yep, go ahead, please.
Lately, I have been struggling.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
It feels almost like I have a Martin Brodeur in my life following me around.
Okay, so Martin Brodeur he's like a hockey goalie, right? From the Devils?
Yes, and David, it feels like something is preventing me from achieving my goals. Like a Martin Brodeur just following me around.
Did you Google like greatest hockey goalie or something? Is that how you came to Martin Brodeur?
I Googled famous goalie. And he was the top result, and I went with it.
That's kind of surprising
to me. I vaguely
to me.
recognize that name.
That a soccer. But look, I just did it too, and it's hockey goalies for whatever reason. They captured the SEO.
David, did I think I was going to get the name of a famous soccer goalie? Yes,
Probably.
I did. Did I get Martin Brodeur
Gordon
instead?
Banks.
Correct.
Sure. Well, okay. I'm sorry about that. But if there is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals, you might want to get in touch with BetterHelp. They're going to assess your needs and match you with a licensed professional therapist who you can start communicating with in under 48 hours. That's pretty cool.
Wow, you can get this done, get started in less than one Nolte Murphy.
Nolte Murphy now? Nolte, like 48 hour. Okay, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
No, it wasn't the name of another goalie.
I was
just
like,
saying,
I was so confused. And then I was like, right, of course, he just means
Nolte
48
and Murphy.
hours.
Another 48 hours. The boys are back.
The boys are back. Look, BetterHelp is not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online. And maybe the kind of expertise you want isn't available locally. This is available worldwide. You can log in to your account anytime. You can send a message to your counselor, get timely and thoughtful responses. You can have a weekly video or phone session. You don't have to sit in a waiting room. They are committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. And it's more affordable than traditional offline counseling. And financial aid is available. It's a lot going on.
Yeah, no, look, David, there's a lot going on. It sounds like BetterHelp could equip you to even overcome the David Seaman in your life.
David Seaman, thank you for shouting out David Seaman was the goalie for Arsenal in my youth. He was a person I worshipped as a child. I love him so much. I still love him. I hope he hasn't gotten canceled recently. No, he hasn't. He seems like he's doing great.
Yeah, and this time I Googled best goalkeeper UK.
Sure,
So
there
that's
you go.
the way that to make it
Famously
more.
big mustache. He was great. He look, and Brazil's famously scored a goal on him in 2002, and that was a tough beat for David Seaman fans, but that's okay.
Wait a second, though. How do you know that?
I grew up in England.
What?
Anyway, BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/check. That's better, HELP. And join the over 1 million people who've taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states.
But David, not just the 50 states. BetterHelp is available to customers worldwide. So even if your parents inexplicably moved you to London, you could use BetterHelp.
It was inexplicable to me when I was 9 years old. But this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Blank Check listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/check.
Bye.
Bye.
I was going to say, though, that I feel like there was so much dialogue about this movie being homoerotic and sort of the tension between the two of them and the weird, energy of Roman seeming jealous of when Brian is spending time with Eva Mendes. And now watching the movie today, it just doesn't even register, I think.
This movie's very chill on that front.
Right. And I feel like the Fast and Furious movies have become about men look each other in the eyes and being like, I love you, I would die for you.
Yeah, and also being gigantic and shirtless.
Right.
And, just these crazy, statues come to life. Yeah, now this movie just feels very grounded and tactile, which is a ludicrous thing to say about it.
Yes.
And it's probably just an example of how every single movie now is just freaking chocolate frosted bombs that we just it's forced into our mouths as we watch them, and we're like, I love this, I feel insane. And then we leave the movie theater, we're like, that's just what blockbusters are now, because Too Fast, Too Furious feels pretty chill and pretty human and realistic.
Yeah, pretty grounded.
And that's absurd. That's an absurd
Right, stylishly directed.
Right.
Yes. Which at the time everyone, dinged it for being over-directed. I should also mention this movie's written by Michael Brandt and Derek Haas. Gary Scott Thompson, who is the architect of the Fast and Furious franchise, gets a story credit on it, but they have sole screenplay credit. They're the guys who, among other things, later go on to create the entire Dick Wolf Chicago franchise.
They're the Chicago guys.
Right, Chicago MD.
They get money
Chicago
from
MD.
every Chicago.
All of them.
Yeah, they also did the 3:10 to Yuma.
They did 3:10 to Yuma. They
Love
did
that movie. Love that
Wanted.
Good movie.
But they also made a movie called Overdrive that looks like such a shitty Fast and Furious ripoff with Scott Eastwood, who later goes on to be replacement Paul Walker in a failed attempt at one movie.
Yeah.
But yes, this feels like the plot line from a Dick Wolf show, stretched out, over-directed by a guy who really wants to prove that he can make a blockbuster film, and two movie stars who want to prove themselves, and it ends up sort of being a dead end for everybody.
It's charming in that try-hardness now, but at the time the vibe was a little more like, oh god, everyone's trying too hard.
And
you're
also,
not going to convince me, guys.
The trying too hard now matches with the later Fast and Furious movies, not because they're trying too hard, but because they become so huge that they're operating at the same level of kind of fever pitch.
Yes.
Weird movie.
Paul Walker wears a West Coast Choppers shirt in this, and you're like, oh my God, the early 2000s, the fucking West Coast Choppers reality show is so fucking big. And he's dressed like every white kid in my high school dressed like, with like the long shorts, like airwalks, and like
he is Abercrombie, like
Yes.
he defined, right, like more than almost anyone else. Paul Walker. Let's play the box office game, Griffin. Unless there's anything else.
We were saying this over text. I do think we should say it on mic a little bit. Slight Devon Aoki sidebar. Because she was a big part of the marketing campaign of this movie. She's all over the poster. She's not in it a lot, but she is just so striking. And she also is charming in this.
I think she's charming in this.
Yeah.
I know, obviously, she was a model, and that was how she'd been a model for years. She's a very striking model. So it's not like she's being cast to do meaty stuff. And like the way she's used in this and in Debs and in Sin City, which was like that sort of brief Devon Aoki boom in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, right. Sin City, she's like silent badass, and this in Debs, she's like fun. She's funny.
She's good. I enjoy her.
She's good.
And I looked her up. It looks like she just retired.
Yeah.
To like she had like a bunch of kids, and she's like, I'm a mom now. Her dad is Hiroki Aoki is the founder of Benihana.
Rocky Aoki, who was an Olympic
Rocky
level.
Aoki, right, yeah.
That's his nickname that he goes by now.
Right. Yeah.
Olympic level wrestler.
Yep.
Who then founded Benihana. Her and her brother DJ Devon Aoki are the heirs to the Benihana fortune.
Of course, people who are wildly successful in life are also heirs to insane fortunes.
She doesn't need to do anything, but then she also got a modeling fortune and a movie fortune.
And then also like married a billionaire. I think this guy she married with kids is also insanely wealthy and successful. And they asked her to do the Sin City sequel. She said no. Jamie Chung plays her part in the sequel. She hadn't done anything in like years, it felt like. Then they announced that she was going to be on season 3 of Arrow. And then
playing Katana.
And then a week later, they were like, never mind, she's not doing it. And they cast the woman from The Wolverine.
Ryla Fukushima, right? Yeah, the Wolverine. I like her. She's great in The Wolverine.
And that was the end. The last movie Devon Aoki was in was 2009. It's Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are undead.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if we can count that one. Let's see. The last non-VOD movie she was in was War.
Yeah.
The Jet Li, Jason Statham
right.
martial arts movie.
And she was in DOA, right?
Yep, Dead or Alive. I have not seen it. No. I have to admit.
Her husband or her partner or whatever, Bailey, is the Bailey of Barnum and Bailey. Like that's where.
Yeah. See, it's like too fucking.
I mean, whatever, man. Yeah. She travels in rarefied air.
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh, she's
the
special.
other thing I wanted to know about her. Apparently, she didn't have a driver's license.
Yes.
So she took lessons to be in this movie. This is like basically the first time she's ever driven a car is in Too Fast, Too Furious. That's how fancy she is.
All right, so just parallel park. You did a great job in the parallel park. Okay, now we're going to drive towards this drawbridge here. And if you will punch it, they're going to raise the bridge up. This is the last part of your driver's test.
NOS button now.
Okay, now let's see how you use NOS on the highway.
Oh boy!
If I have one strike against Singleton in this movie, it's he loves the sped up Nas footage. Like he took that from one and was like, I bet you I could do some wild fucking hyperdrive shit.
The thing where like the view outside their windows becomes like all smudged. Yeah.
It looks like they did a whip it basically.
Yeah.
I feel like, do you think it's possible? Like the producers are like, look, you can do whatever you want, but you better have 3 separate Nas sequences.
Yeah.
Like, Nas tested off the charts for us. You better load this movie
Nas
with it.
was like a big breakout in the first. They were selling the Nas energy drinks and shit.
Nitrogen,
Exactly.
Nitrogen, the element, is a big fucking behind the scenes sponsor of 3.
Yes.
They were like, they were
Yes.
worried
So
about
gets
rehashing their
residuals.
image. Everyone thinks they're just inert gas, and it's like, no, we got to show them that you can go NO2 and go, or N2O and go fucking ham.
Can I read one thing quickly before we do the box office game, David?
Yep.
Our friend, past and future guest Bill Gabiri, wrote a very good piece for Vulture when Singleton died in 2019. And it was his piece making the case for poetic justice and Too Fast, Too Furious, which he argued were the two sort of undersung movies in Singleton's filmography.
Right. This sort of like look beyond Boys of the Hood. This guy actually made a lot of good movies. Right.
And this is, I think, a good point. I'm just not even going to try to put it in my own words. I'm just going to say exactly what Bilga said because he crystallized something that I never would have come to on my own. But I think he is very right about. He's talking about how Too Fast, Too Furious is the movie that even Fast and Furious fans don't really like, right? And he says, but I've always had a soft spot for it, in part because beneath all of its pop gloss, Too Fast, Too Furious reveals something essential about Singleton's artistry. For all its sun-drenched, candy-colored aesthetic, the film's world is steeped in mistrust. Every character has an axe to grind. Singleton takes the aggressive one-note conflicts of the action genre and builds whole networks of resentment out of them. This lends the picture a weird authenticity despite the general dopiness of the plot. None of the actors feel like they're posturing. You really are waiting for every scene to break out in violence. This is a testament both to Singleton's vision and to his incredible facility with actors. He gets them all to commit. I think that is true and well said.
Hell yeah.
Love that.
Well, if Bilga happens to be listening, I'm also a diehard Black Hat fan, and you made me rewatch it just talking about it.
Hell yeah.
So I just, to communicate via blank check to Bilga, thank you for turning me on to the man and getting to read his writing, but also fellow Black Hatter over here.
A tip of the black hat to Bilga.
Well, and this movie made, in its opening weekend, Griffin, I'm trying to do the math,
50?
about 6 Black Hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did $50 million.
Huge opening weekend. Like this was movies did not open that big very often at this point in time.
No, I remember it being kind of a mind-blowing number. This is June 6th, 2003. And it's knocking off one of the biggest hits of the year, Griffin. What's
Finding
number 2?
Nemo?
Yeah.
Right,
So
I guessed
you
it
just know
already.
this. You've
I know
got
that-
this ice
No,
cold.
this
you
is the
know
thing.
this.
This is one of those periods that it burned into
That's
my
what I'm
brain.
saying.
But the other thing is, I just remember vividly that everyone was like, "Well, The Matrix is the biggest movie of the year. It's impossible. Matrix is the most anticipated thing. The Matrix sequel is going to be like the fucking Phantom Menace." And then Nemo ended up being the highest grossing film.
And obviously, number 3, Griffin, is a comedy. Finding Nemo has made $140 million in 2 weeks, just FYI.
Yeah, it's huge.
Huge.
Finding Nemo was the highest grossing Pixar movie until
Animated film.
animated film
It was the
period
highest grossing animated film.
until Incredibles 2. Or I can't remember if Toy Story 3.
It might be Incredibles. You were right.
around it, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but I remember it knocked off The Lion King. It was the biggest animated film ever. Number 3, it's a comedy.
Oh, Shrek 2 toppled. I'm stupid. I'm a fucking idiot.
Oh yeah, Shrek 2. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 3 is a comedy. Okay.
Yep. Movie star comedy. Huge hit.
Number 3 is a huge hit.
Colossal.
Colossal. Oh, is it Bruce Almighty?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is talking about how big the box office was, David.
Yes.
Matrix has its big opening in May. Finding Nemo opens to 70. Bruce Almighty opens to 70. Fast and Furious opens to 50. Like by the first week of June, you've had like 5 movies open over $50 million.
Jesus.
This is just a classic box office game where it's just hit.
Yeah, this was like the last great American blockbuster summer.
Number 3 is a movie that is not the kind of hit that these others were, but was sort of a little bit of a sleeper, a fun action caper movie, big ensemble. It's a director who eventually is going to
Italian
make
Job.
a Fast and Furious. It's
Yeah.
the Italian Job.
Yeah, it sleeps its way to $100 million.
Exactly, with Wahlberg
Fuck.
and Norton and Charlize and Mos Def. Who else? Jason Statham, right?
That's how good the summer of 2003 was. That Italian Job was just simmering.
I remember that came out and people were like, why did they remake the Italian Job with like Americans? Like this stinks. And then the people saw it and they're like, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, if it wasn't called The Italian Job, it was just called like Italy Heist, you'd be like, this movie was fucking cool. Like,
Yeah.
But because you have to compare it to like Michael Caine's performance, you're like, I
Right,
don't know.
right.
Yeah. But I like the Italian Job remake for sure.
Fun. It's a fun movie.
Man, 2003 was right before my senior. That summer was the summer before my senior year of college too. So I was like really coming into myself and loving movies. And I'm remembering this. I was a little beach lifeguard, bartender a couple nights a week. But this was a great. I saw a lot of these movies in the theater. And
03 was a killer summer. Yeah.
oh, that was a. Let's keep going. Sorry, David.
Oh no, number 5 is Griffin already mentioned it.
The
It's the
Matrix.
movie everyone thought would be. Yeah, it's The Matrix Reloaded. Which was a huge hit.
Massive.
Obviously, it was like a big R-rated hit.
Yeah.
But
God, I have
yeah.
not watched Reloaded or Revolutions. I've only seen them once, both. And it was
Oh,
in the
boy.
theater.
Oh, John.
movie.
Oh, David
good
is trying to
movies.
end this episode, and you've just baited him so fucking hard.
Well, this is like I baited him on purpose because I'm kind of want to be talked into watching them.
Well, this is the year, I would say, right?
Right.
With a Matrix 4 coming, this is the year to dip back into them. Just text me while you're watching them, and I can help.
I will.
Or just come over. Just come over.
I'll do both.
and I'll give you some rants.
All right,
Yeah.
cool.
Griff, I just want to shout out number 6 is Daddy Daycare, a film I think you've seen many times, correct?
It was my sister's favorite movie for many years. I probably conservatively have seen it 25 times. I argue that movie is funny, but I don't know if it's just Stockholm
She's
Syndrome.
still campaigning for Nancy Myers to remake it, right?
Absolutely.
You got number 7 is X-Men 2, another 2003
Yeah.
huge blockbuster.
Right, another movie that opens to like $70 million.
The best X-Men movie.
Unquestionably.
Still.
Yes, without a doubt.
Talk about
Right,
movie
they're
opening.
Not even close.
One of the best openings to a movie ever. That Nightcrawler
Yeah.
White
Great-
House sequence is
Great opening.
fucking
Yes.
rules.
Talk about big hits directed by sex criminals.
Number 8, you've got Wrong.
Number 8.
Yes, yeah. Wrong Turn. Wrong Turn.
Wrong
With
Turn.
Eliza Dushku. Remember that one?
Yes.
They took a wrong turn. It's kind of
Yes.
like Cannibals, or
Yeah.
it's like a hillbilly, like sort of Hills Have Eyes.
Is
thing,
that the
right?
one that J.J. Abrams wrote, or is Joyride the one that he wrote?
Joyride is the one. That's a good movie. Joyride's good.
With Paul
That's
Walker,
also
right?
Paul Walker.
Yeah.
Paul Walker.
Our boy
There's
Paul.
there's a Wrong Turn coming out this year too.
What are they? Is it 8? How many are there now?
I think it's a remake. It seems like I never saw the original.
It is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Huh. Wow. Weird. Okay. Yeah. Like another Appalachian horror movie. Huh. Okay. Number 9 is The In-Laws. Which one is that, Griff?
Oh, that's the fucking remake of the great movie with
Michael Douglas?
Yes. So the original is
Albert Brooks.
Right.
Jesus.
Yeah, the original is fucking Peter Falk and Alan Arkin, and is like quietly
Yeah.
one of the best American comedies ever
Great
made.
movie.
And then they did a big budget remake with Michael Douglas and Albert Brooks, but also Candice Bergen and Ryan Reynolds.
Buckets Bergen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan Reynolds is one of the. Yeah. There you go.
Huge bomb.
And number 10 is one of the huge sleeper hits of the year. Bend It Like Beckham, which
Oh, yeah.
was like one of those crazy, hung around at the box office for like months, charming people type,
Yeah.
open to nothing and just kind of slowly built. 2003. Look, I was 17 years old. It was a great time.
Yeah.
It was probably the best we ever had.
I don't know. I do think of that as like, was that the last time I was happy?
Whale Rider is opening this week. I saw that, and I remember seeing that in theaters.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's a lot of shit going on in 2003. And
And you forget that. Like, I just read that book, Greatest Movie Year Ever, about 1999, where like,
Yeah.
and like, I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and you're just like, holy shit! Like, you forget with time, and then when someone reminds you, like, my favorite thing is like, you know what movie won the Oscar that year, and you're like, oh, what were the? And when someone lists the other nominees, you're like,
right.
oh my god, those all came out the same year. They're all
Yes.
distinct
Amen.
memories. I
Right.
love shit like this where you're like, oh my god, 2003 was when I saw all these movies. That was a crazy something.
Well,
like
that's the thing with 2003 is that like it's not that it's like 1999 in terms of like general quality of movies, but it
Right.
feels like a humongous year for movie culture. There were so many big hits, but also like it was a year where there were so many indie breakouts too. Like you had so many things like Whale Rider and Beckham
Sure,
like kind of coming out of nowhere and making like $20 million and lingering for a while.
The 2000s are just a good time. You know, that's 2003. Some other movies: Master and Commander, Kill Bill, Hulk by Ang Lee,
My
Lost
favorite.
in Translation.
Yeah. Shit.
You know, City of God.
Right.
You know, there's
Right.
just,
Return of the
there's just a lot
King
great
is the
shit.
highest grossing film of the year and wins Best Picture
course.
and does the ultimate victory lap. Yeah, it was just a School of Rock.
Hey, School of Rock is
Elf.
2003. 28 Days Later.
Fuck.
Elf. Something's got to give.
Remember when there used to
you
be
know?
like $30 million star-driven comedies for families that were also funny, that were like actually funny?
Yeah. Now they're all date nights, game nights, and tags. 3 movies I would kill to be in, but those are like what I think of when I think of modern comedies now.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bummer.
Everything's either a night or a tag.
Oh,
Tag.
Fuck.
Tag
All
is
3.
based on a true story. All right, we're done.
We're done.
But
We're done.
will we do? I guess we'll do Justin Lin someday. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like, will we ever do a? Well, we could do F. Gary Greggriff. We've had him on.
We could.
The
had him on the bracket
the March
before.
Madness.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. You know.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
I mean, Lin, it's like, look, I obviously would love to do episodes on all the Lin Fast and Furious movies, but thinking about this podcast, his filmography would be more interesting if he had made more non-Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, right.
It's
It
like,
is, yeah.
why would we do Justin Lin rather than just do all the Fast and Furious movies on Patreon is kind of the argument.
Yeah. That makes more sense than a Justin Lin series.
Right.
What was his big, like,
Better
the
Luck
Community?
Tomorrow,
Oh, Better
which
Luck Tomorrow, yeah.
rolls, right? Then he does Annapolis, then he does Tokyo Drift. And then he's pretty much been on the Fast and Furious train other than Star Trek
Except he did
Beyond.
Star Trek.
And he does the Finishing the Game, which is kind of an interesting movie, which is his comedy about trying to finish a game of death after Bruce Lee dies.
Oh, I never saw that.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Never saw that either. Yeah.
Gabrus, thank you so much for being here on
You're
the
welcome.
show. Always one of our favorite guests, but nice to finally be able to cross the streams and have you talk Fast and Furious on this show.
Right.
Please. I would have been ecstatic to be here for Abduction, even more pumped to be here for Too Fast, Too Furious.
Well, and let's also say, like, this episode is now sort of a promise of the High and Mighty F9 episode.
hell yeah. Coming
Subscribe
soon.
to Action Boys on Patreon.
Yes, please. Yeah, if you have Patreon money, get on blank checks. But if you have like 2 Patreon money and you're like, I already listened to one podcast where dudes talk about movies for way too long.
Yell
Well,
about them.
I got another one, and it's even more narrow in that it's just classic action movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I don't know who it's for, but it definitely has some overlap with people who this podcast is for. So at
Absolutely.
least this is the one podcast I feel comfortable promoting Action Boys on, where I'm like, you might actually like super extended movie conversations where we break it down scene by scene and take longer than the runtime of every movie. Not a positive, but maybe for you.
Catnip for our listeners. And to our listeners, I say, thank you for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you to Marie Barty for our social media. Thank you to Alex Barron and AJ McKeon for editing assistance. I also want to thank Lane Montgomery for our theme song. I want to thank JJ Birch for research.
And Nick Loriano. Yep.
And yes, I want to tell people to go to blankies.red.com for some real nerdy shit. Go to patreon.com/blankcheck for blank check special features where we talk about franchises and are doing commentaries on the Twilight movies and thus unifying the 2 Taylor Lautner threads on our 2 streams.
You will summon him. He will,
We will.
appear. Yeah, that'll be the way it'll work out. By the time you reach that, what they call the Lautner Nexus, you'll just have summoned him at that point. It's thrilling.
We're not quite there yet.
No, got time.
No, we have 4 brothers to get to first,
That's right.
and then we'll get abducted. But yes, tune in for that next week. 4 brothers. And as always, I mean, it's not appropriate for this movie, but I'm going to say it. You can have any drink you want in this podcast as long as it's a Corona.
Very good. No one drinks any Coronas in this movie.
I know there are none. I know this is the one with 0 Coronas, but I still think it's the right thing to say.